Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It may contain swear words and adult situations may be discussed. If you're in the company of underage Tims, turn off the show now and listen back later. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, email us at beyondthewaves67@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show, or check us out on Facebook and join our group at Beyond the Waves. Hail Hail and keep the faith.
I can have you here with me. I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans. Honey's sweet, but it ain't nothing next to baby's treat. And if you pardon me, I'd like to say we do okay forever in blue jeans. Baby, tonight by the fire, all alone, you and I. Nothing around but the sound of my heart and your sighs. Money talks, but it can't sing and dance, and it can't walk. As long as I can have you here with me, I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans, babe. And honey's sweet, but it ain't nothing next to baby's treat. And if you'll pardon me, I'd like to say we do okay forever in blue jeans. Baby, tonight by the fire, all alone, you and I. Nothing around but the sound of my heart and your sighs. Hey, money talks, but it don't sing and dance, and it don't walk. Long as I can have you here with me, I'd much rather be forever in blue jeans. And if you pardon me, I'd like to say we do okay forever in blue jeans, babe. As long as I can have you
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson. There we go. Glad that you've joined us today. And we're going to do something a bit different than we normally do. Obviously with BBC Alba picking up the game tonight and showing it starting at 6 o'clock, many folks are still listening in, watching, rather, the game as it's taking place at the moment. So what we're trying to do tonight is keep the discussion in the first hour related to everything else that's going on at the moment, and there's plenty of it. We're not going to talk at all about the game today. So if you're calling in, or if you'd like to call in and talk about the game today, please hold off until after 8 p.m. Celtic Park time, when the folks who are watching the game may be switching over. Then we can cut to today's game and talk about it then. But, in the meantime, there's plenty of other topics. And if you'd like to call in and discuss any of the goings-on with the Dundee game in the midweek, which obviously there was a huge storyline associated with, aside from the play, which is a shame. I think there's plenty to talk about with regard to the goals that were scored. I mean, absolutely phenomenal, both from Sammy as well as Hooper. Really just picture-perfect goals of this season, candidates at least. And unfortunately, it was marred by some of the reporting that took place at the away end, and we'll talk at length about it, I'm sure, tonight. Another topic that's come up in the 2 weeks that we've been off the air, which I enjoyed very much, and hopefully everyone listening had a wonderful Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year to everybody on the early going. But during the interim, a lot of things happened, both personally and in the world of Celtic. First off, we had the draw, the Champions League knockout stage draw. Everybody's been looking forward to that for much of December. And, just any more anticlimactic event you could not possibly find. I mean, it's absolutely atrocious, but it's exactly what we'd expect from UEFA. Let's not kid ourselves. The overproduction and the hyping, anything to sell some additional advertisements, and But as we all know by now, Celtic have drawn Juventus for the knockout stages in the Champions League. Not certainly the worst draw that we possibly could have gotten, but certainly we're going to have some work left to do to advance to the quarterfinals. But advance we will do. Michel Platini, who he loves putting up bulletin board material for Celtic, and let's highlight the fact that this Celtic side, this young group of kids managed by Neil Lennon in his first managerial job, they've made their bones in proving the doubters wrong, and highlighting what the haters say, pinning it up to the bulletin board, and proving everybody wrong. It started last November, and we all remember Fatboy Jabba, Hugh Keevans, talking about there's no way that Celtic is going to win the SPL, 15 points behind the now dead Rangers. There was no way that Celtic was going to come back. They proved them wrong. ITV, after the draw was made for the group stages, ITV sent out the now infamous tweet, "Bye-bye Celtic." Well, bye-bye ITV. I mean, time after time, this team has stepped up and has proven anybody who doubts them wrong. People step up. There was nobody who had in their pools, in their Champions League pools, having Celtic finishing second out of this group. Absolutely not. There was nobody that gave Celtic a shot in either leg against Barcelona. Nobody. Paddy Power. 4 million to 1, or whatever the odds were. It was ridiculous. Could laid a cheeky fiver on there and had a nice holiday. And this team proved them wrong. And they will continue to do so. Michel Platini, step right up, mon frere. This side is going to prove you wrong, in spite of your bias. So what I'm going to try and do in the next several weeks, because obviously we're going to want to keep tabs on Juventus and just find out what the latest is with them, what their injuries are, how they're playing, what style of play they're going to be playing, what can we expect? And obviously the transfer window is going to open up here in a few short days, so who are they going to be after? Who might they bring in? Who are they rumored with, and why isn't that going to happen? I've already released a couple of blogs. One's been posted already on iCeltic.net, and the fantastic work that's done there with Seamus Cummins. You can check that out, and that's going to be the first in a series. The first blog, I tried to highlight some of the rumors surrounding who they're going to bring in, maybe some of the strikers that they're targeting. They obviously play in a different league than us, both figuratively and literally. They have loads of money to spend. Now, that's not to say that they're going to be spending loads of money in this January transfer window. And the pickings are going to be somewhat slim. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Many of the targets that they've highlighted are already cup-tied. They're not going to be available for the Champions League. So they can spend all the money they want bringing David Villa in on a loan deal. They can do whatever they'd like trying to get Huntelaar in. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. But we're going to try and keep tabs on that. Another highlight, or I guess bit of news surrounding Juventus that everybody wants to be aware of is the injuries. And they've had a big one in their back line, a back three, that they prefer playing. Giorgio Chiellini, who is really the stalwart, the warrior, if you will, of that back three. Not the quickest, not the paciest center half defender, but what he lacks in pace, he certainly makes up for in instinct, experience, and courage and ability. He will not make mistakes. You really have to come forth with a stunning bit of quality in order to crack his force field, if you will. He's out, and he's not going to be available for either tie against Celtic. So obviously, on the surface, that seems like a positive as a Celtic supporter. But they do have a couple of players who, and it's a familiar theme for Celtic supporters. They have a couple of young defenders who would start for any other Serie A side, bar maybe Inter, maybe Milan. But other than that, they'd start for any other Serie A side, but they can't get any time because that Juventus back three is so good. Well, now the opportunity presents itself for not just one, but two of these young quality center halves to step in and make their bones. And that could potentially be a negative. Yes, they're going to lack experience. Yes, they're going to lack the instinct that Chiellini would bring. But what they lack in those elements, they make up for in spades with regard to hunger, with regard to desire, to show what they can do, to stamp their authority. And if they're not going to get a starting spot in this Juventus side, they want to put themselves in the shop window. No question about it. So we're going to be going up against a lot of burning desire. So we're going to try and keep tabs on that. I also released to Seamus another blog highlighting a cornerstone, a keystone, if you will, the metronome of that 352, a blog about Andrea Pirlo, who, the Juventus supporters have named Il Professore, but, I get the moniker there, the professor, but from a pragmatic standpoint, I can't see Pirlo holding court, lecturing his fellow Bianconeri in the center circle while the game's going on. I think the more apt description, the more apt moniker for Pirlo would be the conductor. El conduttore. I'm getting better with the Italian pronunciation. He reminds me, if you could put Pirlo in a tuxedo and give him one of those batons to wave around, like in the orchestra, and he would just prance around the midfield and it wouldn't even miss a trick. That's what I see Pirlo more as. He is the metronome that goes through there, provides the rhythm, and provides the tempo. Now, the Italians, they play a slower build. We know that. They're going to give you a bit more space. Their defenders across the board are not going to be blessed with great lightning pace, speed, if you will. So they're going to have to sit a bit further back. They're going to have wide open spaces throughout the middle of the park, and it's a slower build-up. And that really suits a player like Pirlo. That plays to Pirlo's strengths. Pirlo's not going to wow you. He's not going to break you down he's not going to create opportunities like a Ronaldinho where he's going to nutmeg you, wait for you to catch up, and then nutmeg you again and break your ankles and make you look like a dick. He's not going to do that. He has patience. He will wait. He will lurk, and he will pick his opportunities to ping a pass. And he can ping a pass like nothing you've ever seen. And he'll make you look stupid, and he will make you pay. And that's why, and I mentioned this in the blog, I think this Juventus tie is going to be much, much tougher for Celtic than even either of the Barcelona ties are. Now, make no mistake, obviously, of course, I'm going to get these responses. You think Juventus is better than Barcelona? No, I don't. Just stop. It's an overly simplistic interpretation of what I'm trying to say. Of course, Juventus are not a better side than Barcelona, but they can create more of a challenge
to Celtic. This, in my mind, is without question going to be a bigger challenge for Celtic. With Barcelona, you know what you're getting. It's 10 players, interchangeable, total football. We know that. It's brilliant orange. Johan Cruyff, the dream team, going back to the early 90s. And it's tiki-taka, it's fast-paced, the ball's always moving. You cannot take your eye off the action. You cannot lose focus for even a half a second, as James Forrest did in the last 20 seconds of the tie at Nou Camp. And you almost can't even fault him. I mean, 93 minutes, and it's unbelievably draining. It's draining to watch. I can't even imagine what it's like to play in that, with the physical fitness that goes into it, trying to keep up, as well as the mental sharpness. But we know that we cannot switch off at any second against Barcelona. With this Juventus side, they will lull you. And this is what I mean. Pirlo, metronome. He will lull you into a false sense of security with all the space. And if you switch off for just 1 second, if you get lulled, it's almost like a snake. You know, the snake charmer. If he charms you, he'll make you pay. And that's why the back four, or the back three of Celtic that's going to match up against Juventus needs to be switched on for the full 90 minutes plus. No bones about it, no mistakes, or they will make you pay. But this side can do it. They can. And they will. We've seen it before, and we will see it again. Another announcement that happened, or that came about personally, is I'm coming to Glasgow. This has been a dream, for a very, very, very long time. Obviously, there's a lot of expense that goes into coming and traveling internationally, and especially coming to certain parts of the United Kingdom. No question about it. From the U.S., plane tickets, and talking to Seamus and Sean from Cleveland and others. Danny O'Connor, talking, some of the prices, over $1,000, which, granted is about 30 quid, but, for us over here, the exchange rate is just absolutely dreadful. $1,000 is a lot of money, these days and elsewhere, and that's a cheap ticket, and that's with like 5 different stops. So, the issues with timing or expense or whatever have always held me back, and it was always, well, maybe next season, or maybe, shoot for this date or whatever. Well, there's no more waiting. I'm coming. So this will be my first trip to Glasgow. I'm shaking. I'm so excited about it. The great Paul Larkin, the green and white writer, has been kind enough to sort of open his tutelage to me, and is going to look after me while I'm over there. So I was able to sort out a ticket to the Juventus game as well as the Dundee United game the following Saturday. So my first game at Celtic Park is going to be against Juventus. So I'm absolutely over the moon about this. And with that, I want to do as much analysis of that game as possible. I'm unbelievably excited. In spite of maybe the muted tone for me today. You might have noticed the Rev is not with me so far. He should be joining us here in a bit. He's getting ready for a big snowstorm that is coming down on North Jersey. So he'll be with us shortly. I'm expecting. He's probably out running errands, running to the store for bread and milk and whatever else you do to organize yourself and prepare yourself for 3 to 6 inches of snow. But what can you say? So, Juventus. This is a tough one. It's a tough matchup for a lot of reasons. As I mentioned, Conte, he prefers that 3-5-2. Which has been in and out of vogue, I guess, in the sort of Italian domestic side. Obviously, there was a time where everybody switched over to 4-2-3-1. Mourinho comes in with his teams with Inter, and just mucks everything about, gouging people's eyes out, pulling people's ears, etc., etc., etc. But the sort of Italian way, as we come to reflect on it, come to know it, is that slower build. 3 at the back, and then they rely heavily on the wing backs, and that allows their midfield 3, which their midfield is absolutely second to none. You have Pirlo, as I mentioned. You have Jovinko, who's let's just put it this way. Sean Maloney would refer to him as wee man. but gifted with an exceptional amount of talent. No question. With the ball at his feet, he is absolute magic. Running in, making late runs from the midfield, doing things to create for teammates. What they do lack, however, is a potent strike force. They have Vucinic, and sometimes they've been experimenting with Quagliarella as the second striker, which just has not panned out. Vidal is another player who interchanges between midfield and has played a more central striker role. For me, he gets a lot of high marks, and he has put up the numbers somewhat in the Champions League thus far this fall. I don't rate him personally. I think he's wasteful a lot of the time. Same with Quagliarella. He's a bit of a Samaras figure within the Juve mindset. A lot of potential, a lot of talent, and puts on display at times, but far too often, for many people's liking, he is disappointing with it. So, with that, that obviously lends itself to a 3-5-2. And we've talked about this with Tic Tactic, with Michael from the great tictactic.co.uk, where you always want to have that spare man, especially at the back. Now, if they're going to go up top and have this invoked 4-2-3-1, if we have three at the back, that's kind of overkill. We could do a far more effective job playing four at the back, having the fullbacks push up, and then having two center halves to deal with the one striker. That's fine. But with two strikers, as they prefer to do, and especially when the strikers are toothless at best, I like having the three at the back. As we've seen from Neil Lennon, I don't think it's any coincidence whatsoever. Over the past 2 weeks, 3 games, since the draw's been made, we've seen three at the back all of a sudden. And it's been consistent. We saw it again today. And I know I wasn't going to refer to it to today's game, but it is a consistent theme. It is worth mentioning. This is preparation for Juventus. And make no mistake about it, Neil Lennon will persist with three at the back until this Juventus side. He's going to have three at the back, and he's also going to have three up top. Because the counter to that is, if Juventus wants to come out with three at the back themselves, we need to match them with three strikers. Give them as much of a handful as we possibly can. Now, as I mentioned, their back three is going to give us a lot of space, a lot of room to run into. That sets up beautifully for Samaras. He can run right down that left-hand side. He'll have the space that he needs, that he requires, really, in order to be effective at all. If he doesn't have that space, you can forget it. We've seen examples of when Sammy runs down blind channels, when he cuts back into opposing players, loses the ball cheaply. It's a recipe for disaster. But when he has an out ball to run onto, as I believe we are going to have, we're going to have those opportunities. They have two wing backs that have lungs of elephants. They will run full speed up and down the flanks for days. So that's going to open up space down the flanks, and we need to exploit that. We need to get that width. We need to match their back three man for man. So, Wednesday, I perceived a 3-4-3. Today, I perceived something of a 3-4-3, at least to start. Last week, I saw a bit of a 3-4-3. We are going to see that. Get used to Laside, Samaras, and Hooper. Get used to it. Because Lenny wants to make the mistakes, if there are going to be mistakes, now. He wants to find out what the weaknesses are, what the breaking points are now. Shore it up now, make the mistakes, fix them, and develop this. So that we go into this tie against Juventus full speed. And Michel Platini, and Antonio Conti, and Agnelli, and the rest of them down in Turin won't know what to hit them. We will be prepared. And for me, I can't argue with it. I'm fully supportive of it. From the Lennon standpoint, this makes complete sense to me. If we were only competing in the SPL at this point, and that's the only thing that we had to go for, and it seems like Lennon's just dicking around with all sorts of different formations for whatever reason, I'd have a problem. But I see the mentality, I see the sense behind why he's doing what he's doing. And I'm fully supportive. If we're going to make mistakes with it, let's do it when we have 7 points. When we have a 7-point lead in the table with the game in hand. Especially knowing that Inverness Caledonian, Thistle, and Motherwell only took a point. So what's the worst that happens? Now we're 6 points behind with a game in hand. This makes complete sense to me, and I'm willing to write it off. Is it fair for the fans that turned up to Easter Road today, spent the money to travel to an away tie, especially on the heels of what happened in Dundee, and yes, we will get to that in a second. Is it fair to them? No. Absolutely not. The fans that turn up every week deserve the absolute best performance, the best plan, and the best likelihood, the best chance of getting 3 points and seeing spectacular football week after week. But Neil Lennon is making the bet that if we go and we advance to the quarterfinals past Juventus, nobody is going to remember that game against Hibs at Easter Road just before New Year's. Nobody will remember it. Does anybody remember the game against Hibs at Celtic Park where we drew 2-2 in September? I don't care. Does anybody remember, dropping 3 points to St. Johnson? I don't. Back in September, I don't care. Barcelona erased all of that. And Neil Lennon knows that. And Neil Lennon is betting on getting the result against Juventus, turning that frown upside down. And I'm with him. Do I enjoy watching Celtic drop points? No, I hate it. That's for you, Harper. No, I hate it. You can sense it from the tone of my voice. I'm not thrilled. I'm you're drinking cider. Oh, it's cold. It's sitting outside. But there's a bigger plan here. There's a wider perspective. And I get it. And you can either, buy into it, not buy into it, whatever. But it makes sense to me. And if I can make sense out of it, then, at least I'm going to be a little happier about it. So Juventus comes out with a 3-5-2. Do we go out with a 3-5-2? I don't necessarily think we do. I don't necessarily think we have to. We know that matching up man for man, technically, we lose. On paper, we lose. They have better players technically, better gifted players, higher rated players than us. No debate. So if we try and step up and try and fight them in a phone booth, so to speak, that does not give us the best chance. We're gonna have to hit them on the counter. It's not going to be the Barcelona type siege mentality. And make no mistake, that was out of necessity and not out of plan. When there was football to be played, we played it. But as everybody finds going up against Barcelona, you need two balls. You certainly do. You're not going to get the ball off of them. So it's not going to be the same as that. We're going to get our share of the ball, but our teeth are going to come from the counterattack. That's just the reality. So with that being said, when we have the opportunities to build at all from the back, hopefully it's not going to be lumping up the park long ball. I don't think we win that battle at all ever. But when we do have the opportunity to build, we would have three strikers who have the ability to peel off of some defenders who are lacking for pace, get behind them, and if it's 1v1 versus Buffon, there are keepers that I probably prefer going up against, but he's not unbeatable. Sammy peeling off of whoever the right-sided center half is going to be for Juventus, I'll take it every day. With a nicely timed pass from Chris Commons or Scott Brown, I take it every day. Now, Gary Hooper's another interesting one. What we've seen from Gary Hooper thus far this season has been an interesting one. And I've been a critic of Hooper's, but I'm starting to see the bigger picture here as well. What we're seeing from Hooper is Neil Lennon's dropping him a bit further back. In the central channel, no less. We have Lasad on the right, Samaras on the left. Hooper, through the middle, is trying to drop deep, to try and draw, if it's a pair of center halves, to draw them back, to open up space for Sammy or Lasad to cut into. Now, unfortunately, it didn't work today, because Hibbs, let's be honest. Let's push that off for the next the next hour. I'm completely blowing my plan, but this is part of it. This is learning. This is Neil Lennon Okay, that didn't work. Let's try something else. But I can see how this would apply with Juventus. You drop a bit further back, Hooper through the center channel, have Samaras or Lasad slashing from either side, finding space, and it's going to be there. Maybe a late running Joe Ledley, bam, that's an opportunity. That's a creative way and a creative opportunity, a creative way to put players in better positions to score and to make plays. That's what we're going to have to do. This is going to be about tactics. This is going to be about outthinking. They're just coming out to execute. They have a 3-5-2. They don't stray from it. Let me tell you right now, Stone Cold Mortar Lock. Juventus is coming out in a 3-5-2, and they are going to play the way that they play. And they are going to rely on their execution. And yes, they are going to take us lightly. This statement from Michel Platini is an overall comment. They are going to take us lightly. And they will follow in a long line of scalps that we've taken because of it. They will make you pay. This Celtic side. So, with that being said, we're taking calls. Like I said, in the first hour, if you want to talk about Juventus, if you want to talk about the other night in Dundee, I guess we'll switch over to that. As I mentioned, 3 at the back against Dundee, away at Dens Park, which, if the Dundee spokesman wants to come out and say it was just like the 70s, I would have to agree. It looks like Dundee hasn't upgraded their park since the 70s. Tin roof rusted. I mean, just whatever. Let's talk about what happened on the pitch. I mean, for me, I was delighted. I thought, obviously, we had the majority of the possession. We created some chances. We created some chances that didn't quite come off, but Samuel was just deadly throughout the game. I thought he was fantastic. Really, on form. No question about it. It looked like he was up for it. He was making good decisions. He was energetic. And he looked like he got stronger as the game went on, which is a testament to how he plays. He's a confidence player. You give him some confidence, he takes it. You drop in confidence, forget it. It's not going to happen. But against Dundee, he was tremendous. He probably should have had 2 goals. And the goal that he did score was an absolute cracker. Goal of the week, without any shadow of a doubt. And Hooper's goal was tremendous as well. Just incredible first touch, and the poise that he displayed, simply second to none. And then you come to what happened after the game. As the story is portrayed, it happened during the game, but you can hear in the early going firecrackers going off. That's been a source of contention for amongst the support. You have the pyros on one side, and you have sort of those who don't want to have anything to do with the pyrotechnics or the singing of any sort of songs having to do with Irishness and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I've done a bit of a 180 as of lately. There was a time was, my thinking was, what's a firecracker? What's a flare? What's it hurting anybody? This is just another dig at Celtic supporters. This is just, a way to vilify us. But after some thinking about it, after some sort of pondering, for me, it doesn't bring anything. That's the litmus test. What does it bring to the atmosphere? And for me, it has absolutely nothing to do with the culture of the club. We don't have a long line of fireworks going off or whatever. Michael Davitt didn't come over in 1892 with a patch of Donegal fireworks that he lit off in the center circle. Andrew Cairns didn't come from a long line of fireworks dispensary. I mean, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's fun, it's atmosphere, etc. But reading some of the feedback from the Celtic Disabled Supporters Association, the fact that if the smoke comes into their area, it's just not right. It's not right. I mean, people with respiratory illness, etc. Okay, but the response, well, if you don't like it, then don't show up. That doesn't add up for me. It's just not right for me. For the people who just want to come out and watch some football and be part of the atmosphere, they don't need that. And for me, it's something we can do without. That's a concession that I'm willing to make. It's a chip that we have on the table, and I think we use it. I think we cash it in to obtain concessions from the other side. But that's a completely separate discussion. Joining us now is the one, the only, Callum Donnelly. Callum, hail, hail. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you, Graham?
Not too bad. Where are you geographically right now? Were you at Easter Road today? Did you manage to sort out a ticket?
No, we didn't get a ticket in the end, which was a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So, I mean, did they have it on at any of the pubs, or in order to watch it, you had to wait until the BBC Alba feed came out?
You're correct, yeah.
That fucking sucks.
It was pathetic. My dad was watching it live in Melbourne, and I couldn't watch it in Glasgow.
I mean, can you get even like a dodgy feed or something like that? Or,
Yeah, you could. But we were just following on Twitter. It's really the dodgy feeds weren't. We tried one, which we normally use in Australia if it's on Zatanta and sometimes on Sorry TV, and that was not working for me today. So I kind of gave up and had enough.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, the television situation over here has changed dramatically over the past 6 months, where we can't even get we can't get any La Liga games or Serie A games where we get anything we wanted last year, and I've had to rely on some dodgy streams for that, and even some Celtic games, and it's just brutal. But now tell us. Obviously, I listened to the Rebel podcast from midweek, and just fantastic stuff. I mean, you guys can continue to be my favorite podcast on Hail Hail Media. It's just always something that I look forward to. I'm always entertained hearing your perspective, and it's fun to listen to. You mentioned that you were at the game on Wednesday. Tell us a little bit about it, because when you recorded the podcast, some of these assertions, allegations hadn't really come full circle yet, I don't think, because you didn't touch on it, but I want to hear from you. I'm so glad that you called in. What's your response to the claims that were made by the Dundee spokesman that that people were just urinating all over the place? There was fights all over the place. It reminded him of the 70s. I mean, did you see any of this? I mean, does that make sense?
It doesn't. We got into Dundee about an hour and a half before kickoff, and we were wearing our colours out, and it was fine. And we were up going to a pub, and that was fine. And we went to the ground reasonably early, and we were sitting on the corner, kind of next in the main stand, next to the main Stoke supporter section. And the only problem that we could actually see was there was a group of Sevco supporters who wanted to see some SBL action and decided to stand quite in the Dundee United section right across from us. And if anything, they were the antagonists. They were getting their Union Jack out and doing all that type of shit. But it just seems like Stoke supporters kind of ignored them and ended up making fun of them. I saw 2 Stoke supporters get chucked out. I saw 1 Dundee United fan get chucked out. I actually saw a few more of them look like they were leaving due to security kind of telling them to leave. But and then after the game, we kind of stayed around for a little bit, but we did kind of leave relatively quickly like everyone else. And I didn't see one fight. I didn't see one urination. If anything, the police in our section were loving the Stoke support when there was a song going around, tip your hat if you're a Celtic fan, and the police officer tipped his hat and he was smiling. And so I don't know. I honestly don't know where any of this has come from. You're right. We recorded the podcast the morning after the game, and none of that had come through yet until that afternoon and the next day. And it went from 4 people arrested to 70 people arrested.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Sun prints 70 people, and then all of a sudden, John Hartson releases an article this morning repeating that. And I've yet to see that corroborated by any police report or a report from Dundee. Of course, nobody's going to argue against it. Whatever makes Timmy look bad, of course, nobody's going to refute it. But it's unbelievable. 70 people.
I honestly don't know where they've got that number from at all, because if there was fighting, if that did happen, that's obviously not good enough. But I did not see any issues, and we walked through the Dundee fans to get to the car on the way home, and there was no problem. And the only problem was the Huns that were there, and they left 10 minutes early because we were winning. So once they left, it was actually fine. I honestly can't see where any of these the rags got any of this information, because I didn't see it. That's the end of the story. I mean, we watched the the Huns game today, which is a travesty that a Division 3 game was shown live on Sky Sports, and not the Sonic game, but that's a whole other story.
Pathetic.
And at the end of the game, when the BBC were commenting on Sky Sports were commenting on how good the Rangers fans were, the Billy Boys started to be sung. So I wonder how much that will be in the papers tomorrow, if any of that gets in the papers.
Yeah, 30,000 Sevco fans at the National Stadium singing banned songs.
Mm-hmm. And there was smoke bombs as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm waiting with bated breath on John Hartson's commentary of what took place at Hampden today. And then a lot of allegations talking about, and this really set off an interesting sort of dynamic, a back and forth within sort of the Twitter universe within Celtic supporters, where it seems there's this growing pocket of supporters. And in my opinion, Peter Lawwell is sort of the ringleader of this sort of movement, this sort of mentality. Whenever there's a situation that involves Celtic fans getting the wrong kind of attention, whether or not it's justified, it's an opportunity for these people to jump in and say, these people are disgraced, they're not true Celtic supporters, and this is just absolutely awful. And it's there's so many people who are itching for that sort of opportunity, and then it gets into the Rebel song debate. Now, I don't remember hearing the full hymn sheet of Rebel songs. Yes, I heard the pyrotechnics going off, the flashbangs, whatever. I said my piece on it. I could do without it. Let's just leave it at that. And you saw a shot of Neil Lennon standing on the touchline while the flashbangs are going off, and it was hard not to cringe when that's happening. Let's be honest. But you didn't hear the entire, it wasn't like, you're at a Bick McFarlane concert. There was a wide variety of plain Celtic songs, and I've had as many people tell me that they saw absolutely nothing in terms of fighting or any sort of struggle with the stewards or what have you. I've heard as many people say that they haven't seen anything as people who said that they have. And my follow-up question to that is it any worse than any other week that you've been to? And I've yet to have anybody tell me this was the worst that they'd ever seen.
I agree. I would touch on a few things. I agree with the pyrotechnics. I don't understand them because, if anything, they actually stop the supporters singing songs because they kind of shock people. I don't understand. And one almost did seem to land quite close to Rab Douglas, which shouldn't happen ever.
No,
that's
never.
not good.
No.
So I don't understand them, and I don't think they add anything to the support at all. But look, we were there. I was singing most songs. Was pretty much singing right to the end. It seemed like a bit of a carnival atmosphere. I just don't see where these people get these supposed facts. And I would completely agree with you that there are people out there, supposed Celtic fans, that love to text into the BBC or Sky News and say, or even the Record and that type of stuff, and go, "Oh, I was disgusted. I've been following Celtic for 40 years," and blah blah blah. And I don't see how that eclipses the riots that used to actual riots that used to happen in the day.
Exactly.
The Daily Record, the Herald today wrote a really good article about Neil Lennon and the year he's had, and Neil Lennon touched on it, I think, quickly after the game, or maybe it was the next day in his press comments, where he said, "Look, these people, there's a small minority, and guess what? There's a small minority in Celtic who are supporting Celtic who are dickheads, and that's in every club you go to in the entire world. There will always be one or two guys that try to ruin it." The good thing about Celtic supporters, unlike a lot of other teams, is that Celtic supporters actually weed those people out quite quickly and tell them to kind of stick their head back in, compared to 30,000 people singing an illegal song today.
Exactly. There's one phrase that works universally amongst all Celtic supporters if they get out of line. We are not Huns. Job done.
Correct. Nice and easy. And so Neil Lennon spoke very briefly about it, and quite calmly. The Daily Record back page was a picture of him with, "We want them out," or "never come back," or something stupid like that. That he never actually said. It's just, I don't know why they would even bother having these people at Lennoxtown or at the press conferences, because they don't listen anyway. These certain media outlets in Scotland.
Yeah, exactly right.
So
they're looking for certain cues that they can manipulate and then make into their own story, so that they can attribute some sort of quote, and they're going to mishmash it. No question about it.
Right. And at the end of the day, look, Celtic now has an incredible amount of personal kind of podcasts and forums and news outlets, the How Media, E-Tims, which talk about a whole wide range of opinions. I have a whole wide range of opinions, different opinions, because that's what makes Celtic such a cool club, that you can have there'll be 60,000 people watching the game and there'll be 60,000 different opinions on who played well. So we now have that where, we actually see people who actually went to the game can tell you what happened, and I can categorically say I didn't see anything out of the ordinary or anything that would make me ashamed of being a Celtic supporter.
Well, I mean, we can wrap this up with an essential idea or a compass, if you will. First off, as we highlighted with your point regarding Neil Lennon's comments and how the press is always going to manipulate them, and the club themselves know it. They've banned certain people from the media for it. Neil Lennon is no friend to any of the media types. You can see it anytime he is interviewed in these general press conferences within Scotland. So we know what the context is always going to come back to. It's going to be vilify Celtic. Now, when these people come out and say, "Oh, Celtic fans, when they go and they cause bother, it makes us look bad, and it gives the mainstream media another stick to beat us with," who cares? Seriously, what else were you expecting? And on our best day, they refer to us as Fenian bastards. Do you really care? Do you really want to be on your best behavior for these pricks? Who cares? They're going to lie about us. They're going to contort whatever situation it is to make us look bad. And then you have John Hartson this morning writing this just smear piece on a game that he didn't attend, that is all hearsay, that he's using facts that the Scottish Sun conjured up themselves, fabricated. I mean, who cares? John Hartson has a career now. He is in the media. We know what the media does. They have an agenda. In order for him to continue his career in the media, he needs to conform to that agenda. Now, let me ask you something. Paolo Di Canio, okay, scored a lot of great goals for Celtic, but you know what? I don't give a shit what he says about anything. You know why? Because he's fucking nuts. So why do we care? Who cares what John Hartson says? You know what? He was a fantastic football player. He kicked the ball wearing our colors. And you know what? All the best to him. But he's not some theoretic politician, who dictates policy, or like there's some high thinker. He gets an outline on what he's supposed to write about, and then he writes it. He doesn't know what the hell he's saying, and who cares?
No, I completely agree. If you get guys who's a footballer who's probably not that well educated, I'm not sure what John Hartson's education is, but generally footballers aren't the smartest guys in the world anyway. You get them writing for a paper called The Sun, which has naked ladies on the next page after his article. You don't give too much credence to his opinion, do you?
Tits on every page, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, the other aspect of this, I like what I did with that. Yeah. The other aspect of this is, and this is a question that has been coming up and a bit more frequently. Obviously, 'tis the season, and I've been guilty of this as well. And I've had to have a bit of a think and a bit of a look in the mirror with regard to this, and that's how we as a support respond to the stories and the comments on Clyde and what's written in the record and what the Sun says and what John Hartson says. Why is it that people take so much stock in what's going on when we have so many fabulous writers? We have so many fantastic shows of our own. Why pay attention and why respond? I mean, are we surprised? We're not surprised by any of this. It's been happening since the dawn of time. They hate Fenians. The mainstream establishment, including the media, hates what we stand for, hates who we are. This is not surprising. This isn't something to be angry about. It's something to laugh at.
Yeah, for sure. I don't. The good thing about the How Media, I'm giving it as a pat in the back to an extent, is there are lots of different opinions. So it's not just the one party line, and none of us toe the party line at all. So I think a lot of people like to read it to get angry, to go, they still hate us, still backs up against the wall type kind of mentality. I think a lot of people still like to listen to Clyde because they like to get angry at the presenters and the people that call up. Like some of the people that call up, I listened to Clyde once, and that was after the Ross County game. And this one old Stoke supporter was called up and went, well, supposedly a Stoke supporter, and said, "Oh, I just miss the Rangers and those old firm days. And you know what?
It's just not the same anymore."
Oh no, it was, and the presenter at the end went. They wrapped the show up on that, and he went, "There you go. That's actually a Stoke supporter that talks sense, and that he probably actually talks for 95% of Stoke supporters."
Right.
And there was four of us in the car. Two guys who I'm staying with. Well, three guys I'm staying with, the dad and the uncle who've been supporting Stoke for 60 years, and they just went, "Oh my God, this bloke is he's obviously lost his medication or something." Cause
Exactly. Oh, he took the green pill instead of the red one.
Exactly, or the blue one.
Oh, yes, we could always use a blue one. Yeah. Now, give us a sense for where you are in your journey. What's going on? Listen. Frank is not listening, okay, and nobody else is. What's going on in your trip? You're staying until Juventus. Did we clarify that?
No, I just talked to my travel agent today, and they can't get a ticket home from Singapore, so I am now leaving on the day of the Juventus game.
You've got to be shitting me.
So we tried a week, we tried 2 weeks, and there's no tickets. It only costs $100 to change my flight, which is nothing. So I just found out about 20 minutes ago, so that's quite shattering.
I'm so sorry, man.
No, that's all right. You'll be there, though. You'll have a good time.
Fucking brutal. Yes. And I it's almost a bit surreal, like I got the confirmation in the email, it's like, okay, Newark, Glasgow, this is the date, this is when you're returning, X, Y, and Z. I talked to Paul Larkin, he's like, right, man, sorted you out, you got the ticket. And it's like, okay, yeah. And then it's like, I can't believe I'm fucking going. I can't believe it. Like, it's like, I don't even know what to expect. I mean, that's what the level is. I need to talk to some people who, have been in my shoes, the first time they've gone and what the experience was like, what they were expecting and how it was different than what maybe they thought. And it's going to be fun in the next few weeks, just trying to sort of build it up. But, I mean, the first game that I'm ever going to see at Celtic Park is going to be a Champions League game, and we are going to absolutely hump Juventus. That
will be, I reckon, one of the best games, atmospheric-wise. It's really good playing Juventus first because we'll really show them what Celtic Park is, and it will be rocking, absolutely rocking. I mean, the Spartak game was quite nervy, but the crowd was incredibly loud. We sit very close to the Granby Gate, or that's where my cousin sits, and it was almost so loud you had to put your hands in your ears because it was just it was ridiculous. And that Juventus game, it will be rocking.
I love it. I absolutely can't wait. I think you're right. I think I like having the home tie first. Even if we get out of there with a 0-0, I wouldn't mind the 0-0 whatsoever because I definitely fancy us for a score draw away, and that would be enough to see us through. I'd be fine with that, or if we could nick a goal, or certainly two. I mean, it's just going to be magic. I think we're going through, no question about it. But
we're going all the way to Wembley.
I know, and then I'm going to have to talk the wife into let me go back.
I have to do that.
Oh, God, I'm going to have to get a second job, but
it'll be worth it.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. Listen, Count, thanks so much for calling in, pal. All the best, and hopefully we'll catch up with you soon. All the best to the family.
Good luck for the rest of the show.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.
It's Callum from the Rebel Podcast. As I mentioned, absolutely one of my favorites, if not my favorite podcast on Hail Hail Media. Just brilliant stuff, good analysis, and a lot of humor in it as well. Prefontaine, his uncle, had a chance to meet up with him in Philadelphia. I'm actually gutted. I'm not going to see Callum. It would have been fun to meet up with him and all that, but I'm sure there's going to be a couple of people to meet up with. If you'd like to call in, Skype lines are open. You can add us as a contact at Beyond the Waves on Skype. It's a free call. Give us a call. Let us know what your thoughts are. There you have it regarding Dundee. I mean, if there were massive brawls happening, riots, that's absolutely unacceptable. No question about it. And there's nothing excusable about it. But the jury's still out for me in terms of any sort of evidence that any of this happened, and especially considering the only pictures that have come out of that night documenting any sort of disturbance is of a guy being wrapped up by the police with a Rangers top on. And now all of a sudden it's 70. 70 Celtic supporters were tossed. I don't know where they get this number from. Well, actually, I have a pretty good idea. This comes from the Rares. But, yeah, it's just another tool to vilify the Celtic support. And now there's a faction within, I don't know if it's Twitter or if it's wide-ranging, but there's a faction within the Celtic support that is validating this. That's going along with it. And it's pathetic. I sent out a controversial tweet this week, and I stand by it. I will not take it back. Anybody who wants to insinuate that there should only be Celtic songs being sung at Celtic Park is validating the stance of bigots. And some people took exception with that. But, you know, if the shoe fits. See, we're joined by the Parrot. I don't know. Parrot, are you locked in somebody's trunk?
What's up, mate?
Are you locked in somebody's trunk? Are you in the boot of somebody's car?
No, what's up?
Listen, let me give you a call right back. We're getting some feedback.
Yeah, okay, pal.
Cheers. I don't know where the Parrot's perched. Sounds like he's in the boot of a car. We'll give him a call right back. My take on it is, yeah, anybody that has a problem with, and I've even had people. That's still a bit dodgy.
Okay, yeah, if it's still good, I'll leave it and let somebody else call in then, pal.
No, it's okay. I think we can manage through it. Yeah, we should be good. Hello, pal. What's the crack?
Not much, mate, not much. Just obviously enjoying the show, etc., and hearing people's comments about Dundee. Interesting, very interesting, Graham.
Yeah, what I'm, and the point that I made with that tweet, you know, and there's this you know, growing faction of people who say that there shouldn't be any, and I've even had people in quotes, any sort of Irishness, you know, going along with the club, and I'm not Irish, I'm Scottish, you know, and this is a Scottish club, it's not an Irish club, there shouldn't be any Irish songs, you know, it really needs to have a chat with themselves. They need to have a word with themselves, you know. They are doing the work of bigots. What could possibly be offensive about something that is Irish inherently? And I'm not talking about, you know, the Rebs. I'm not talking about, you know, going home British soldiers or the Sam song or anything else like that, which, you know, is not sung. It's certainly not sung at Celtic Park. Okay, and if it's sung at away grounds, I would concede that's probably inappropriate. I'm talking about Fields of Athenry. And laugh all you want, there are people who I've talked to who claim that that's not a Celtic song and shouldn't be allowed into the sort of concourse with this. So who would have a problem with the Fields of Athenry? Who would have a problem with Let the People Sing? This land is your land. Who would have a problem with that other than bigots? Bigots who have an arena for that within the Scottish establishment, who find any sort of reference to the Irish Republic, or otherwise, the entire island, to be offensive inherently just because it's Irish. That is, in turn, the definition of bigotry. And then I asked Celtic supporters, why do you think the establishment has an issue with Irish songs? Because they're bigots. You ask any Celtic supporter, why shouldn't an Irish song be sung at Celtic Park? They'll say, well, it's going to get us in trouble with the mainstream media. They don't like that. Or, it's going to get us in trouble. You know, it's going to bring the club into bother. How could it bring the club into bother? Because it's Irish?
You know, actually one thing, Graham, I mean, I put a tweet out the other day there. I know that's mostly cash and carry nonsense, that tweet, nobody reads it, but I downloaded a song off of iTunes, Roll of Honour. You know, paid 99 pence for it, got it on my iPhone. So if I sing that at a football game in Scotland, I can get arrested for it. But what happens if I make it my ringtone and it goes off when I'm at the football? Can I get arrested for having something that I've legally purchased from the Apple Corporation?
Yeah, I mean, it's you have to ask yourself, first off, why do you not want let's throw it out there. Boys of the Old Brigade. Why should that not be sung? Why? In the context of the song in which it's sung, it's a song about the independence of the Republic of Ireland, a sovereign country. Oh, there's a reference to the IRA. Well, in the context of the reference, we've talked about this. It's not talking about the provisionals.
But I mean, you look at it in Scotland, though, the Scottish song. Now, listen, I say this as a very proud cash and carry third generation asylum seeker. I'm a proud Glaswegian and I've gone to Celtic Park, but the rest of it, Graham, I'm not interested in. But the original song, Flower of Scotland's a rebellion song.
Exactly. Why isn't that banned?
That's sung at the rugby by farmers and doctors and accountants who stand and drink whiskey.
That's not banned because it's not Irish. So again, it gets back to my point. We are by validating that point that Celtic should distance itself from anything Irish. You are doing the work of bigots for them.
But I mean, I think that there's I went on to Celtic Dreams last night and I made that point. The reference this whole Dundee debacle, and for me, the saddest thing about it is John Hartson's. You know, I don't do anything with the Sun, Graham. I've never read it in years. I have a lot of good mates from Merseyside who brainwashed me from a younger age to keep away from the rag. But I had a look at, and I tweeted John Hartson. I wasn't having a go, and he looked really disappointed. And he's got his montage in the background of all the Celtic legends, guys like Jock Stein and all that, you know. And you wonder what Jock Stein would say about an ex-player coming out. And now, listen, if John Hartson had been at that ground and seen something, and I'd say, well, you know what, if you've seen it, mate, you're more than welcome to make your point of view. But as you and the Boy for the Rebel podcast said, Callum said, if he's not been at that game and he's going, I mean, there was, for me, the most horrific thing was there was mentioning of people urinating. Now that to me just brought back what happened at the Hillsborough tragedy and all these fictitious tales that the Sun put out there, which have been proven.
Exactly.
Thank God, they've been proven to be absolutely nonsense. And for anybody in Scottish football now, the Celtic Football Club's point of view, I'll play devil's advocate and go down the road of Celtic bent over and take one over the arse, Graham, because they get the match game changed to 7:30 p.m. Now, my timeline today was people going to the match. The regulars who go to away games, the people on my bus, etc. On Boxing Day, it was a carnival atmosphere, it's a holiday atmosphere. So any football club, anyone in the UK is looking at saying, well, we're playing at 7:30 St Stephen's Day or Boxing Day in England. People's going to be juiced up from the night before. So you've got that get into it. Now, for these comments made by both Celtic, Peter Lawwell coming out, etc.
Oh, he can't be happier about this. He couldn't wait to make a statement. He doesn't even wait for any facts to come in. He takes the word of the Dundee spokesman and then just takes it and runs. And it's so indicative of his mindset. Don't wait for all the facts to come in. Don't wait for a wider perspective or a more general investigation. Don't even wait 24 hours until after the alleged acts took place. Come out and then start condemning people and talking about who the true supporters are. Whatever.
No, I mean, just to tell you on, I've not seen any Dundee publicans or bar owners or restaurant owners complaining about the Celtic fans being up there spending a lot of money. I know they were in the Club 67, the Dundee stronghold. Obviously, guys like B. Jason was probably up in the Loch Cree Celtic Supporters Club. Now, for the level of behaviour being tarnished that the Celtic supporters inside that ground from our own club, what does that say about the stewarding standard with Glasgow Celtic's own stewards being up there? Because you couldn't get a drink inside the ground, so the Celtic stewards have observed. If you're playing the Celtic, we are looking at this, Celtic stewards have let people in a certain state that were going to allegedly do what they've done. To me, Graham, it's just very... People slag off Charlie Green now. The Sevconians do what they do every week. There's stuff getting lobbed about, lighters, etc., coins thrown at fans. Charlie Green never comes out and slags his own fans off.
Pat, you go to a fair amount of away games. Is this consistent with the sort of things that you expect the most, or that you witness at most away games? Do people have drink? Do they sneak in a flask of Buckfast or whatever, and do they have it inside the ground?
Obviously,
honestly.
It depends where you go, right? I'm not going to say there's 100% non-drinkers there. There's people that there'll be a can taken in here, or maybe a plastic Coca-Cola bottle with maybe lighter coloured Coke, shall we say? But
so it does happen. You can reasonably assume that it does happen every week, and you can reasonably assume that most of the people in the away end are going to be inebriated at some point. So let me ask you this: why was this one? If there's nothing different about this tie, this away performance from the fans, the behavior, out with the firecrackers, which, let's be honest, there was a lot of them on the early going, and after a while it started to annoy me. So that's why I always refer to the offensive sort of behavior, if you will, as being the firecrackers going off. But anything out with that, what was different about this game as compared to others?
I think, though, one of the best away games I've been at this season was when we played Motherwell at 3 o'clock at Fir Park in the Motherwell Supporters Club, 10 yards for the ground, Graham. They let us into their club at 1 o'clock, and everybody sat there. All the lads were drinking away. 2:45, everybody got up and walked round. There's a mentality here that the fact that we're told, obviously, I mean, Celtic, but I think it's February, we're being told, we're playing Inverness away again at 12 o'clock in the morning. So people sort of having to sit and maybe have a refreshment on the bus going up there. It's binge drinking, and that mentality of rolling through Scotland and getting maybe 20 minutes in a pub before the game. Obviously, Boxing Day was more of a celebration, and maybe people were a bit more chilled out, and there was more of a carnival atmosphere. But that's all it is. And listen, I was at the game, Graham, so I'd be very reluctant to pass comment. But as obviously Callum was on there, I know Jason was up there, and all the sons of Donegal, the lads I go away with, they never seen anything. They were in the main stand. But as I say, for guys like the most disappointing aspect for me is, as you say, listen, the pyrotechnics is a totally different argument, right? And there'll be some for it and some against it. I mean, I don't mind it, but obviously I don't get asthma or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm
but
against
certainly the club itself, to so quickly come out and brand people and get them like chastised, and for gentlemen like John Hartson to firstly have his name tarnished with that rag, and then secondly to if the article's been ghostwritten or whatever. But no, mate, it's poor. I mean, it's, as I say, apart from that, mate, it was a good 3 points. It's after the hour. My only thing I'd like to say about today's game is I just can't get rid for chicken legs to leave the stadium, mate. That Rodney's got to go.
You know what, Parrot, can you stay with us for a couple minutes? I'm actually going to take a 1 minute break here. We're going to switch over for the folks who have seen the conclusion of the game on BBC Alba, and we can start talking about today's game. Can you stay with us?
Yeah, of course, mate, no problem.
All right, stay with us. You listen to Beyond the Wave Celtic Football Show. As I mentioned before, we tried to get a lot of the extemporaneous stuff out of the way on the front end. We're going to take a quick break right now and then come back and talk about today's game, and you might regret it. So stay with us.
Captain! Land ahoy!
Listen, do you want to chat about Celtic after the game and avoid the usual Scottish hacks? Then tune into the Beyond the Wave Celtic Show on the Hail Hail Media channel. I'm telling you, Graham, the Rev, the coach, they're there after every game to take your calls and talk you down from the ledge if need be. The guys are live after every single match, and you can catch them at www.Spreaker.com and then just search for Hail Hail Media. So if you'd like some Celtic discussion that'll make you feel a bit Yankee Doodle Dandy, tune into Beyond the Waves radio show. Yankee Doodle.
C-E-L-T-I-C Celtic. You're listening to Beyond the Wave Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson, and joining me today, it's the Parrot. Hail, Parrot.
Hey, Will.
If you're just tuning in, or if you've only been tuning in for a few minutes, do not adjust your dial. We did the show a bit backwards today. I wanted to wait until the BBC Alba feed was over so that some of those folks would have a chance to come over and talk about the game that happened today, and have an opportunity to call in and vent, as it were. 1-0 defeat to Hibs. For me, it's disappointing, as it always is, to drop any points, and especially, Easter Road is a venue that we've had a lot of success with in the past, and that's been, in no uncertain terms, due to the performance of one Anthony Stokes. Now, Stokesy has not been available for us for the better part of the season, obviously. Now, Stokesy's another one of these players. You have players. Patty McCord is one of them. Sammy's one of them, and Stokesy seems to be another one where half the support loves him, half the support hates him. Lots of rumors going about, talking about Stokesy's going to be sold. To who? I have no idea. But he's going to be sold. His career at Celtic is over. He'll never play another game. His dad's in the IRA. He was holding an M16 or an AR-15 with a balaclava on. Whatever. The bottom line is, we are missing a 20-goal a season player, and I don't care what competition they're in. The typical response is, well, he doesn't turn up for the big games. Well, if you hadn't noticed, we don't have any problem in the big games. It's these wee ditty teams that we always have problems with. And you know who used to scoop that up for us? Stokesy. And if you hadn't noticed, we're competing in 4 competitions right now. So which I would hope everybody is of the mindset, if you're of the mindset that we need to be competing to win the treble, we need a player like Stokesy. Who's going to take his place? Lasad isn't banging in goals for fun. Miku's on his way out. Christ, the sheriff, they have him on ice. He's out the pasture or something. I don't know. Stokesy needs to come back. Stokesy's a very important player to this team. I don't care who his dad is, or what he does, or what song he sings, or what bar he owns. I don't care. People want to tell me that Celtic's just a football club, which I laugh at, by the way. If Celtic's just a football club, then Stokesy's just a football player, and he's a striker who scores goals, which we are badly in need of just now. Your thoughts, Parrot?
Well, good points, G. All I'd like to say is, about today, obviously, gutted that we didn't win, and all the regulars, away fans who go there every week, probably deserved a wee bit more. We're going to get beat week-wise. Hibs were a bad team today. They were hungry for the ball. Reference the forward line. I'd say one thing. I'd say the boy Lee Griffiths would maybe do as a turn. I know he's a bit of a character off the field and he likes the ladies, but it's never been a problem with Celtic fans in the past,
Kind of like the cut of his jib so far.
A cash and carry Jackie Jakanowski likes the girls. I don't mind that.
Oh, jeez. Pulls and goals.
But to me, it was very interesting to see. And listen, I'm not victimising this guy. Right? My thoughts are, there's guys like Paddy McCourt who he got half an hour today, but Paddy's just, I don't know what's going to happen with him. You've probably heard the same rumours. He's maybe going to Crystal Palace, and if he does, I hope it works out for him.
Well, it would make sense for him. He would easily double his wages by moving even down to a championship side like a Crystal Palace. Well, what kind of wage could he be on? I've heard as low as $6,000.
Aye, that's what I've been told he's on up here. But
that's unbelievable.
If he goes, mate, that's as Pope Paul says, give him $1,000 a week and give $5,000 to the Green Brigade for banners. But that's another story. But no, to me, the big disappointment today for me, and listen, you backed him up months ago, and I was probably out of turn, is Thomas Rogner, old chicken legs, Norwegian wood.
Gotta go.
I've spent a bit of time up in Norway, and quite ironically, I watched the movie The Vikings with Kirk Douglas here on a hard, robust nation of folk. I don't know what the Moses basket must have dropped him off the Iceland or something like that.
We need to give the Green Brigade one of those horns that the Viking, like when Rania.
he couldn't row across the Clyde. That sack of shit, let alone get across the Atlantic like the original Vikings did. I've had enough of him, and see when he was out there, him and his poxy agent saying, our defender deserves more. So fair play to Neil Lennon. If that's that shite house being found out for what he is, let him go when the window opens. I thought I missed my settled defence today. I like my big Ambrose at the back. I like Wilson at the back. There's a bit of pace. Robney was redundant today.
I agree.
I mean, did you see it when the goal came? It looked as if he was doing a cash and carry zombie nation with one arm. He had his right hand arm up, just going, whoa, get along, mate. That's my only rant today about the players. Listen, there was other guys today, had a bad day off, it happens. I know it's 3 points. People's paid maybe £28 to go there today, and their supporters bus fees and top it. It's not the end of the world, as you quite rightly say. We're still in 4 competitions, and I'm happy. But I'd maybe like to see a couple of players, fringe players. It's probably, to me, in my very, very limited experience of being a football fan, Graham, this is when a good manager earns his crust, because he's got a big squad there. And it's a heartbreaking thing to do, because certain managers have got to go in. The best guy at doing it was Alex Ferguson. He would see a player came to the end of his tenure at a club, whether it be Ince, whether it be Beckham, whether it be Kilchowskis, and he went, you know what? You've had enough here, and moved them on.
and then wipe them off the face of history. I mean, Ferguson comes out in the press and talks about the fact that he's never played with a holding midfielder. I mean, it's like Roy Keane never existed. Way to hold a grudge, whiskey breath. It's absolutely fantastic. I love Ferguson because I hate him so much. Joining us now from the snowy confines of North Jersey, Perth Amboy to be specific, it's the Rev. Hail, Rev.
Hello, hail.
How is the weather up there? Are the skies looking very frightful?
No, it's not too bad. I mean, it was snowing pretty heavily before, and then it just kind of, I guess it warmed up a bit, so now it's just raining and just turns to slush.
Ah, well, good thing you loaded up on supplies.
Yeah, for nothing.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're discussing the absolute abomination that was the game today, but you know what? I can't be overly, sort of depressed or just upset about it. I mean, there is a context behind it. First off, Neil Lennon's comments after the game, he does what he typically does. He defends the team no matter what. I mean, they've had some shambolic performances, and he's come out and said, we were exceptional today. I don't know what he was smoking, but I'd like to have some. One comment, talking about the goal that Griffith scored from an unbelievably acute angle. I mean, fair play to him. It was a good turn. And like Yampy says in the chat room, he turned Ronya like a turnstile. Lenny says it's a straight ball over the top, and we should have dealt with it better. Yeah, I would tend to say so. We looked a bit flat at the back for the first 10 to 15 minutes, and I don't know why. Really, Lenny? I do. And it's called Thomas Ronya. He was an absolute abomination. Now, Parrot, like you rightly pointed out, that ball's coming through the air. You want a warrior. You want somebody that's going to go and attack that ball, like Ambrose, like Wanyama does, like Wilson has learned to do. And Ronya, he does have, I mean, Rev and I stood right next to him. He's a giant, in terms of like he's about 6'5", but God, he's got these wiry little legs. You can almost snap him. I could almost like just walk up and it's a good thing Deco didn't get next to him. Deco broke my foot. He would have crushed Ronya to bits. But getting back to the context that I was talking about earlier, and today fits nicely hand in glove with it. We are experimenting right now. Neil Lennon knows that we're 7 points, now 6 points ahead with a game in hand. So we have some room. We have a bit of cushion. We can experiment. We can rotate. We can rest certain players. I would like to see certain other players rested, and maybe some of these young kids, Parrot, like you're talking about, come in. Dylan McGeoch, as you rightly have pointed out, the Milton Maradona.
Oh, it'd be right. And listen, as I say, for once, I'm not going to ever go Paddy McCourt. It's not Paddy's problem, but surely if a player's contract's going to be running down to whether he's going to be leaving at Christmas or he's going to be leaving in the summer, give Dylan, who I noticed, I don't know how long he's had it, he's picked up McGee's number 46 number, which is my favourite number, because it's the bus that takes me to Celtic Park. That's another story. But surely Dylan McGee, a small, wiry player, was ideal for today.
I agree completely. He is the future. He is a young up-and-comer, loads of energy, has a quick turn of pace, especially in the first step, can beat a man. That's really what I think we were missing today. Now, Neil Lennon, with the layout, okay, with the formation starting out, he held his hands up and said, I got the formation wrong. And I would agree. He did get it wrong. I like the idea. I think that the characters in play were a bit off. First off, we're without Forrest. We're without Commons, okay? Where's our creativity going to come from? Where's the creative spark? We only have Forrest and Commons to facilitate that role. Other than McGeoch, and it looks like, Lennon doesn't fancy him to start for whatever reason. So when those two are out, who's left to take up the slack? Sammy. It's Sammy on the left-hand side. He sits a bit further back. He's down left flank. We send out balls to him, and he creates. Except today, I got into it with Shevchenko. God bless her. Team Samurai. Team Samurai. She goes down with the ship like nobody's business, but I love her. I love her to pieces. Shevchenko, absolutely. Till the end. Love you to pieces. But Sammy was atrocious today. He was. His role is to create. Now, in his defense, I don't think where he was positioned and how Hibs were matching up to us. And fair play to Hibs. I mean, the amount of energy that they played with and the amount of pressing that they did high up the park. I mean, they did everything to win this game. Let's not beat ourselves up and say we threw it away. They came out to win this game, and they did. And fair play to them for doing that. Credit to Pat Fenley. He's done a fantastic job with that side. I mean, considering where they came from last season. But nonetheless, Sammy's role was to take the ball up the left-hand side, stretch out the defense, open up space for Scott Brown or Lasad or Hooper to run into and create. Now, that's a lot of responsibility to leave on Sammy because we know he's not good in traffic. He's our worst player in traffic. That's where somebody like a Migiak would come in quite nicely. If anybody needed to be dropped for today, it was Lasad. Play Sammy in the Lasad role, get McGeoch in to do some of that creative work. Without him, what are we left with? We're left with essentially 5 defenders, 2 midfielders, and 3 strikers. Now, the 2 midfielders we had in there, Victor Wanyama and Scott Brown, they're not going to create. Victor Wanyama is going to smash the shit out of anything that comes over the middle of the park, and Scott Brown's going to run all over the damn place and maybe pick up a loose ball. That's it. Scott Brown is not going to ping a pass. Neither is Wanyama. So where's your creativity going to come from? Where's your build going to come from? Has to come from wide. Has to come from the wingbacks, Izagiri and Lustig. And it's no coincidence at the start of the second half we started to develop more because the ball was going up the right-hand side towards Lustig. It was staying away from Sammy. Sammy was charged with creating and delivering service, and he didn't do it. And there's people, Shevchenko, listen, I love you to pieces, God bless you. But pointing out that Hooper was rubbish today, or equally rubbish to Sammy, I'm sorry. Not going to happen. Sammy, his role was to create, and he was sadly inept. Hooper does not create the bullets for himself to fire. I've said this repeatedly. Hooper drops deep. He's not going to take the ball himself and dribble. He's a penalty box poacher, and if the ball doesn't get into the mixer, you can forget it. Of course he's going to be anonymous. He can't score goals without the ball. Parrot.
Well, I totally agree. I think for me, even from the Moscow game, Gary Hooper's work rate's increased, but he's getting thrown back further and picking up the ball deeper, and as you say, putting a tackle in. I mean, the only thing, last year, and I don't mean this, and it's no disrespect to the player, and I love him one week, I hate him another week, but what sort of role has Birham Kyle got left at Celtic Football Club now, G? Because if Wanyama stays and Ambrose plays and Joe Ledley stays, is there a place for him?
Yes, there is. There's a very big role. And I'm glad that you brought up the players that you did. First off, Joe Ledley's being rested for a month, and I think that's very prudent. And I agree completely with what Neil Lennon's doing because he was probably the most important player we had against Barcelona, both ties. And he's going to be the absolutely most vital player we're going to have going up against Juventus. Marking Pirlo, talk about a thankless job. And we're going to need Joe Ledley for that. Some people call him the silent assassin. I like to call him Secret Service. But that's a whole other discussion that we'll have at some point, I'm sure. Ambrose, gone for the entire month of January. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? He might have just picked up a knock. Wanyama, gone for the entire month of January. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? Hopefully he comes back without a scratch. Kyle's going to be a big player for us. We're playing in 4 competitions. We're going to need squad rotation. There's going to be suspensions. There's going to be injuries. And you know what, to be honest with you, I hear what you're saying. He wasn't the greatest when he came on as a substitute, but he's not a substitute player. He starts, he picks up a stupid yellow card about 40 minutes in, and then he has to get subbed off at 65 because he's about to get sent off. That's what he does. He dispossesses, he looks up the park, and he tries to distribute. That's what he does. He doesn't do anything more than that. He definitely can't shoot. There's still a ball that's on its way to my front yard that he launched over the bar today. But that's not the player that he is. I don't think we need to get shot at him.
I thought I wasn't aware that Kenya was in the African nations. I didn't think they'd qualified. I didn't think Ambrose was away.
Yes. Ambrose is with Nigeria, and Victor Wanyama is with Kenya. So.
No, listen, I don't mean, obviously, I know he's a vital player and the game's coming up for covering all that, but as I said, I just think that when he first came to Celtic, he was excellent. But then when you see somebody like Victor Wanyama comes in, and listen, I know Wanyama's probably going to leave, hopefully Touchwood at the end of the season. We'll keep him to Wembley or whatever. But just certain players, if you're going to just build on the squad, and do we sacrifice him and get somebody a footballer in?
No, I see where you're coming from with it. You know, I see the fact that he hasn't been the same player that first displayed, you know, such promise and such energy and drive when he first arrived. But you know, he's been the victim of injuries. Now let's be honest. The bar that we compare him to has completely changed. You know, we've brought in Victor Wanyama, who, like you said, is you know, just an absolute just an aberration. I mean, you know, the crown jewel of John Park's stable of finds, and he's going to bring Celtic Football Club at some point, hopefully not sooner rather than later, a lot of money. A lot of money.
Show me the money.
Victor Wanyama has completely changed the conversation of this midfield. So Baram Kayal all of a sudden isn't being compared to, say, as he was when he first arrived, Landry and Guemo. He's now being compared to maybe the best Celtic midfielder we've had in a decade. So, you know, that's a context that needs to be taken into consideration. But I still think he has a valid and a vital role to play. There's a lot of football left to be played in this run-in, and a lot of competitions left to participate in. What I like in terms of what Lennon's trying to do and utilizing him thus far, he's playing him in a bit more of an advanced role, maybe back to goal. He's done some good work, especially in the past. Certainly not today. That wasn't a good example, but Wednesday and even the game against Ross County, back to goal, holding the ball up and then distributing from there. I'd like to see more of that. I'd probably like to see a lot of practice with shooting if he's going to continue doing that, because I've never seen somebody consistently lean back away from the ball every time. I mean, the technique is absolutely atrocious. So he needs this to definitely stay away from that. But you know, I take your point. He has fallen by the wayside, and he needs to do a lot to sort of pick it back up if he's going to feature regularly in the starting 11.
No, I mean, that material, 80% of his time, I'm happy with him as a player and what he does, Graham. But I mean, I always have to the point he's a bit like Rovney.
Well, that's a perfect example as well. Ronya, you know, at one point was like, okay, that's going to be the future of our central defense. If Ambrose comes in and Kelvin Wilson all of a sudden remembers how to defend, and now Ronya is surplus to requirements. It's a good comparison.
No, I mean, it's when Rogne obviously played a few games well, and he was bitching for a new contract off Neil Lennon, and Lennon wouldn't sort him out. And obviously for me, Kyle was the same, and Kyle had 5 or 6 great games. They would say, oh, well, you know, it's okay here, but I wouldn't mind a move away. And then they get an injury, and quite rightly so, any player under contract at any club is entitled to the medical care. And now he's a bit more humble and he's getting back to a game. So if he was come out and say, I'm more than happy here, I'm happy keeping Kyle, but you've just got to promise me when you arrive at the Emerald City, Glasgow International, Cash and Carry International Airport, you've not got a mullet like Kyle, or you're getting sent the next plane back to fucking Fenian Philly, baby. I'm not having it.
I'm tweeting you a picture of me right now. I got a haircut yesterday. I'm fresh. I get the fresh buzz. So there will be no sewer rat mullet, you know, with extra bro cream. I promise you that. Rev, get in here. What did you think of the game today? You know, what are your thoughts and just, you know, your sort of takeaways from the game? I mean, are you gutted by it? Does this affect you as much as maybe, you know, some of the other losses? Is it comforting from the standpoint that we knew that Inverness and Motherwell only got a point out of their game, so no matter what, we were still going to be at least 6 points up with a game in hand? Does any of that mute it? But just take it from there.
Yeah, it hurt a little bit. I mean, you know, not as bad as it could have. You know, like you said earlier, you know, anytime you lose points, it sucks, and it hurts, and you don't want to, obviously. But, you know, I'm looking at, you know, the bright side, I guess, where everyone thought this was going to be, you know, over and done with before the league even started, and maybe it is, but you know what? It's staying entertaining. There's no Armageddon. You know, the league isn't over. Other teams are having a go at us, and, you know, fair dues to them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, every team is going to, you know, set out to take 3 points from us. Nobody's scared of us in the SPL. You know, for whatever reason, they know that we're experimenting, we're resting certain players, we may not be taking them as seriously as possible. We're providing bulletin board for every other club with performances like today. Guarantee you, Stuart McCall and his Shetland pony haircut that he's got from, that's twice as old as Tony Watt. He's showing this tape saying, right, these guys, they don't care about the SPL. The 3 points is there for us to take from them. You go out and you press, and you keep pressing, and you keep fouling, and you get under their skin, and we're going to nick a goal, and then we can park the bus. And that was the key there. Once they scored after the 9th minute, they didn't need to press anymore. The complete context of the game totally changed. They can then sit back and protect. Laura Brannon, God bless her. She sent out a tweet saying, well, fair play to Hibbs for not parking the bus today. Laura, I love you to pieces, but I have no idea what game you were watching today. But, they were swinging upside down from the crossbar like a gaggle of bats, especially from the 70th minute on. And that's all they had to do. For the entire game. Lee Griffiths was the only one. When Celtic had possession, Lee Griffiths was the only one in the Celtic half. Everybody else was piled back. So that completely changed the context of the game for me. I thought Izagiri at times tried to do too much. Some of his service was quite good, once again, which I love to see. His service on Wednesday was absolutely extraordinary. And that's nice to see. That's always been the knock on Izzy. Hopefully he's working on it and sorting that out in training. And long may it last. He's a vital player for us. He's going to be a vital player in that Juve tie. That's where we're going to need our width against Juventus from wingbacks. As I highlighted before, I think we need to play 3 at the back against Juventus. They have a toothless strike partnership, in my opinion. Their 2 leading scorers are in the midfield. So, providing the width from Izagiri and Lustig, that's the recipe. Now, Izagiri, in his defense, it's a thankless job with Samaras in front of him because you never know what he's going to do. Takes it down to about the 18-yard box and then cuts it back into 3 players and then loses the ball and then falls over and then holds his hands up over his head. And Gary Hooper's supposed to take the blame because he was anonymous. Right.
I hope Shevchenko's not listening to this live, mate. There'll be Claymore made.
I hope she calls in. We need a cuddle. Trust me, I have bigger problems at Glasgow Airport than Shevchenko. Believe me.
Listen.
Want to give a shout out to the Strathclyde Police, by the way.
What's your healthcare like in case you had one of Peter's magical pies at Paradise?
I promise you that will not happen. Peter's magical pies are contraindicated for Crohn's disease. I'll just leave it at that.
I hope you've got the lovely Fenian Frogman's wedding list sorted out at Celtic Park. Some nice Fenian gifts for his palace.
No question. Hey, Parrot, thanks so much for calling. We're going to open up the lines. No. We always love having you, and we'll speak soon.
All right, hail, guys. Keep it safe. Ta-ra.
Cheers.
Later, man.
Oh, Jesus. I almost hung up on you, Rev. So, Rev, you missed the first hour. Maybe you were listening. I don't know, but we went over the the whole Dundee debacle and Peter Lowell's response, which you knew exactly what was going to happen, and it was so indicative the speed with which he responded. We're not going to wait for all evidence to come in, all reports to come in. This is an opportunity, and he's going to pounce. Of course.
Yep. You were talking about Fields of Athenry before, and it's not a Celtic song. That gets sung at USA games.
That gets sung at Republic of Ireland games.
Just saying, it's not that it's like, it's a worldwide song, really. I mean, maybe not in that context necessarily worldwide, but it gets sung elsewhere. So for someone to pounce on it and say that, oh no, this shouldn't be sung because that has nothing to do with Celtic. Well, there's other teams elsewhere in the world that use it. I'm sure there's clubs that sing it, on their own too. Rev,
this gets back to my original point. Where is the only place that there is a problem with anything Irish? I've had Celtic supporters tweet me saying, this Irishness. Refer to it as this Irishness or these Irish songs. Where else is it? It's one place.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And why? And then my next question is, and this is why I sent out that tweet. Why do people have a problem with these songs? Well, because the mainstream media is going to take it and they're going to give another stick, to beat us with. And people don't like it. Why? Why don't they like it? Because it's Irish. Because they're bigots. Why would you cater to bigots? We're now joined by Gary Boy. Gary, hail. How are things down in... you're in Bristol, right?
Yeah, in Bristol. Well, I'm actually in Somerset right now.
Oh, lovely.
With the family. Southwest, not Somerset, New Jersey, if you were confused the name. But in Southwest England.
Lovely stuff.
Go on.
Oh, no, I was just saying lovely stuff. Happy holidays to you and the family. Thank you so much for calling in. Did you have an opportunity to see the game today?
I just finished watching it there, Graham. Because over here we have Sky viewers would get to see the game later on BBC Alaba,
right.
the channel which follows the game in with Gaelic commentary. Where it was. I was kind of in my element a little bit because I'm quite keen on the Gaelic language, and watching a Celtic game with Gaelic speaking commentary is quite it's quite good.
Well, with that being said, Ta na bakali akshnav. I have no idea what that. Actually, I do know what that means, and it makes no sense. But anyway, as you are.
Well, all I can say is, Graham, hata. It's Tolham Celtic. I guess you can work that one out.
It's Misha.
It's Misha. No, I watched the game there. I echo what you said there about Samaras. He was a bit frustrating to watch there. That's his biggest weakness, isn't it? His touch. Whenever the ball comes to his feet, he just loses it. It just bounces off his feet. He doesn't have doesn't trap the ball. Doesn't control it when he's if he's standing on one spot, not when he's running.
Well, and his first touch day was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, and I think the Ambrose. I was a bit disappointed that Watt didn't come on in the game.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that would have been more, all right, you didn't do much. He was a bit quiet in the Dundee game, but...
Yeah, he was, but, in the context of what we needed at that point, we need a goal. You need another attacking player. Obviously, attacking players that we had were a bit toothless. Now, with that being said, it contradicts my point earlier a bit where we didn't have enough creativity. But my point on Twitter was, why wait until the 87th minute to bring Dylan McGeoch on? A lot of times when you bring a third substitute on, they never touch the ball. So what's the point?
I know that's what I noticed most. The subs didn't come didn't happen until later on in the game, which they could have Lenny could have brought players on 10-15 minutes before the end. I would have kept Ambrose on for a bit. Just I know he's got his African Nations competition coming up, but he played it. I think he played it at skin today. Obviously, just to once it ends on a high, this year.
Yeah, and it did look like he took a bit of a knock, which is concerning. But like you said, if he's going to be away for international duty, I mean, it might not be the worst thing for him to maybe pick up a little niggling injury now that we keep him out and fully recovered by the time that competition's over. At least being selfish about it anyway. Yeah.
No, it's just one of those. It's just one of those days. Again, doing this is our first away defeat since St Johnstone in September.
Yeah.
We can't win them all away from home, but we got a good. We're much better away from home than we are at home, performance wise. But it's going to be. It's just one of the days. But slightly change the subject. I'm just picking up what you're saying about the debate of what happened in the Dundee game and in the Celtic crowds. There's a clash.
There was a riot. Half of Dundee is burned to the ground, and I think they need to send in the hazmat crew. There's going to be a documentary film about it, I believe, forthcoming. It's absolute carnage. I read it in the Sun.
The Sun. Everything happens. they say everything they say that happens. It's all true, isn't it? It's all true.
Well, and the thing for me is I've talked to as many people who say that there was none of this that actually took place as I've heard from, in fact, more now, people who say, I have no idea what game this took place at, because it didn't happen at the game I was at. I've heard from several people who said, some of the behavior was atrocious. My follow-up question is it any worse than any other away game that you've been to? And it's like, well, not really. I mean, it tends to get out of hand at away. So what's the problem?
I kind of played, day after, I kind of played a bit of devil's advocate on Twitter, only because I wasn't at the game myself, so I wasn't there to witness what actually happened. I could only hear what was happening in the game. The fireworks, for example, or the noise in the background, and I just asked them what actually happened, and are what the Tayside police are saying is true, or are they just exaggerating? Even if it was, a minor problem, was is it an exaggeration, or is it justified? Is it true what they're saying? And and I've had responses saying, friends of mine who their friends were at the game, and they're just basically saying that the Sun were at it, which tells you that it was actually the Sun that started this. As I understand, they started this rumor.
Yeah.
They started this. Sensationalism. I can only describe it. Sensationalism.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I had I'll tell you this, Graham. I had a bit of a debate with one of the journalists who edited the Downfall book for Phil McGillivan. It was Angela.
Angela Hanratty. Yeah, she also proofread Paul Arkin's By Any Means Necessary Journey with Celtic Bandpots, which you can find on Lulu.com. Shameless plug. Sorry.
Yeah. By the way, that book, By Any Means Necessary, I got given the book by a friend of mine who was at the book launch.
Superb.
And I started reading. I finished it within a week before Christmas.
I know it's like that.
It was a great read. It really was.
Yeah.
It really, some chapters you could sort of relate to.
And some you can't.
Maybe not. No. But she, because from talking about the so-called riots to debating about the rights and wrongs of singing songs at matches, that's what myself and Angela were arguing about, but we ended it, fine in the end. I just said to her, I don't think I'm having a go at you, Angela. I'm just saying I disagree with your arguments that the songs should not be sung at matches. Politics if politics should be kept at the door. This should apply to all forms of politics, even the SNP, Scottish National Party boards that are displayed at Fir Park, for example.
Gary, I agree completely with what you're saying, but the problem and the reason why this isn't going to be solved, if there is a concrete definition, and this gets into the problem of the problem itself and being solved. The reason why it's not going to be dealt with is because Peter Lawwell isn't serious about it. He's not serious about dealing with this. And I'll tell you why. If he was serious about dealing with this, he would bring the principals involved, the Green Brigade, the Celtic Supporters Association, the Trust, Jeanette Finley, Joe O'Rourke. He'd bring everybody in a meeting, and he'd lay it out on the line. Here are the songs that we have problems with. Here, yeah. What's your song sheet? Bring everything out there. Let's have a discussion about it, and let's come to a consensus. This is acceptable. This is not acceptable. Get everybody on the same page in terms of the lyrics of the songs, the type of behavior, so that there's no misunderstandings. And he never does this. Peter Lawwell, this is what leadership is. It's not just making smart purchases in the transfer window or hiring the right people or balancing the books. It's also managing the supporters. And that doesn't mean dictating every 6 months when there's bad press coming out and pontificating and bad-mouthing certain supporters and telling them that they're not real supporters. That's not leadership. That's weak. What he needs to do, leadership requires leading. He needs to stand up and bring everybody into the tent. There's a level of mistrust that's across the board. The Green Brigade don't trust him, and I guess to a certain extent he doesn't trust them either in return.
No way.
There needs to be dialogue in order to bridge this gap. Peter Lowell has the tiger by the tail. And the question now is, what are you going to do? If you let go, the tiger eats you. But you can't stand here holding the tiger's tail forever. He needs to do something. And the only way he's going to do it is bringing them in. You want to have summits about police and you know their fat manager squaring up to our manager or whatever. Why can't we have a summit amongst ourselves? Set clear guidelines of what's acceptable and what's not, so that every 6 months, and he comes out, oh, this is unacceptable, this is damaging the reputation of the club. Well, what? What are you talking about? You know what? No, I don't know what. Like we talked about before. Stop singing the songs. What songs? You know what songs. Like we talked about before. I've heard from people who say that Fields of Athenry shouldn't be sung. I hear people who say anything that doesn't deal with Celtics shouldn't be sung. I hear people who say Going Home British Soldiers should be played through over the tannoy. There isn't a consensus of reasonable common sense. And anybody who wants to send me tweets saying it's just common sense that X is the case, it's nonsense, okay? So get your head out of your own rear end. Not everybody thinks the exact same way as you. But a leader needs to step up and highlight and specify exactly what is unacceptable so that we can do a better job of self-policing. And until that happens, he's not serious about it.
So by all accounts, Graham, Peter Lowell cannot stand the Green Brigade for what they do. But I know but in some way you can't.
But he loves
really,
money more.
He loves money more, yeah. But he can't really touch them because he realizes the attraction the Green Brigade have. You know,
exactly.
And atmosphere side, especially. You know, Neil Lennon occasionally would give them acknowledge him, if you like. You know,
he's your typical money man who has a product, has a very successful company, and hates their own customers.
Mm-hmm. I was a thing as well, Graham, because I have a theory that the reason why it's a big problem, especially in Scotland, the rebel songs is a big issue to not just certain Celtic fans, but also non-Celtic fans. That if Scotland as a country, historically, if they never had any political quarrels with Ireland in the last 400 years, like the Act of Union, the Ulster Plantation, etc., rebel songs today wouldn't be a big issue to most Scottish people, particularly the Scottish football fans. But because of the Scotland's association with the Union of Britain and their clash with these people that they look at as terrorists, as Republicans,
right?
That's why it's actually if Scotland were more like independent minded than as much as the Irish, it wouldn't, rebel songs would be tolerant in Scotland.
Today, God Save the Queen was sung in Scotland's National Stadium. Rev, how many times has God Save the Queen been sung in Giant Stadium?
I have never heard it sung there.
And I think you hit the nail right in the head, Gary. I really do.
On a lighter note, you're excited about February?
I am. I'm absolutely. It's surreal. I now that I got all this out off my chest, I can sort of express some enthusiasm about it. I can't imagine what I'm in for. Sometimes you go on trips and you see pictures and it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be just like that. It's gonna be warm. It's gonna be Scotland's not gonna be warm. It's February. I don't think it's ever warm, but
wet, but yeah.
But I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. I can't. I mean, the Gallowgate and the stadium itself, and I can't. I think much of it is I've been thinking about this happening for so long, and it hasn't happened, and maybe to a certain extent, subconsciously, I thought it might never happen, and because of that, now that I am going, that subconscious sort of disbelief has crept in. I can't believe it. I don't know if it's even going to hit me until I get on the plane in Newark. It's not going to hit me when I get on the plane in Dulles because I have to fly one of those propeller deals out of Dulles over to Newark, and I'm going to be shitting my pants. But once I get that out of the way, I mean, it's really going to set in, and it's really going to be there. Like I don't know what to expect, but I cannot wait. It's just I'm excited because it's such an amazing game, but I just have a lot of emotions all at the same time, and it's sort of hard to put it into words clearly. It's a special moment. It has a lot of meaning, and I'm excited about the game, and I'm excited about seeing my friend Paul again, and meeting so many people that I feel like I know already, talking to on Twitter and on the show and elsewhere. It's just hard to really sort of clearly think about, to make sense of, but I can't wait. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. And I am bringing good luck from America, and we are going to Gub Juventus.
Every one of us, we, especially those who live not far from Celtic, but we have a memory of our first ever trip to Celtic Park. I know I have. Back in 1997, it was against FC Tyrol. We beat them 6-3. Didn't think we would go through, in the qualifying rounds of the UEFA Cup, but that was magic. Not because it was a big score game, but because it was your first time there, and it was special. Even now, today, I've been to many home games since then, but that was special for me, and I'm sure it'll be exactly the same for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get a tour of Celtic Park. I'm gonna have to wear a disguise though, because if I get cited, I think I'm gonna get chased out. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm on Peter Lowell's no-fly list. But it's something that I'll never forget, and I can't wait. It's just hard to believe. I mean, I guess you can tell. I mean, it's I just don't know. But I want to have my eyes open as much as possible while I'm over there. Just so that I can have as many memories as possible. Hopefully, I can sleep for maybe a couple of hours. I don't know, but it's.
If you can, get yourself into Bar 67 in the Gallagate. That's a really nice bar. There's all the murals of Celtic legends around them.
Superb.
Everywhere at times, but all the bars are there. And I don't think you need to put your hand in your pocket, Graham, as well. Those people, everybody, from Paul Larkin to, the bar, everybody will be buying you a drink. So you don't have to, you don't have to
Superb.
So
I really can't wait.
Hope you have a good trip.
I can't wait. Thank you so much, Gary. Gary, we're going to let you go and hopefully get a couple more callers on. But we really appreciate you calling in. And, please try and call us over the next few weeks and stay in touch, mate, all right?
Will do, Graham. Thanks for taking my call.
Cheers, pal.
Have a Happy New Year.
Hello. Happy New Year. Rev, I don't know about you, but I need a bathroom break, so we're going to play a tune. I think it's appropriate. And then we'll come back, and maybe Yampi will call in and use some profanity. Stay with us. You're listening to Beyond the Wave Celtic Football Show. We'll be right back.
Well, we have a little song this time that we're very proud to carry the tradition of the Irish ballads. And it's a great and noble tradition that goes back centuries and centuries and centuries. They told the story of Ireland to the great chieftains and the whole history of the tribes. We ask you this time to have a listen to this song. It's called Let the People Sing! For those who are alone, there's a song that's warm and tender. Those who are on rest, it's song we can protest. Liberate your mind, give us all expression. Open up your heart, we sing for you the song. Come on! Let the people sing the stories and the songs, the music of their native land. Their lullabies and battle cries and songs of hope and joy. Join us hand in hand. Everybody, all across this ancient land, throughout the test of time, it was music that kept the spirits free. Those songs of yours and mine. Back in ancient times, the bard would tell the stories of the heroes and of the villains, of the chieftain in the glen. To Elizabethan times, brought men and bars of glory, while the pipers to the sword, get the harpers and the bards. Come on! Let the people sing the story stories and the songs, the music of their native land. Their lullabies and battle cries and songs of hope and joy, join us hand in hand. Come on, let's hear it all across this ancient land. Throughout the test of time, it was music that kept the spirits free. Those songs of yours and mine. Ireland and the song, your music lives forever. In its mountain, in its valley, in its hill and in its glen. Our music did survive to famine and oppression. To the generation gone, we sing for you the song. Come on! Let the people sing the stories and the songs, music of their native land. The lullabies and battle cries and songs of hope and joy, join us hand in hand. Come on! All across this ancient land, throughout the test of time, it was music that kept the spirits free. Those songs of yours and mine. Whoa!
You're listening to Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us. 1-0 defeat to Hibs, and just, that's not what we were hoping for going into New Year's, but there is a broader context. There is this is a very sort of transitional time, and we're in a good spot, being 6 points up now in the SPL table with the game in hand. I mean, we have the luxury of being able to experiment. Now, we do have a big game coming up against Motherwell on Wednesday, and I mean, I would expect a much, much higher energy level from this side come Wednesday. I would hope that Neil Lennon is going to demand more, in terms of the performance. I think that, at times the energy level and the focus was missing. There were slack passes all over the place, not just from Sammy, but I think we very, very dearly miss the presence of Chris Commons. I think he's been one of the key players for us throughout this season so far in all competitions, as well as James Forrest. I mean, James Forrest has been out for much of the time, but you can even see in the small amount of time that he's been back in the side since he's returned from the injury, he really does make such a difference. Pace down the flanks, and with the ball at his feet, and he does have the final product as well. So, hopefully they both return to the lineup as quickly as possible. Want to also just touch on today's the anniversary of a very sad event. It's 5 years ago today that Phil O'Donnell tragically passed away, 35 years old at the time, and we opened the show with Forever in Blue Jeans. If you're familiar, if you long-time listener of the show, obviously, when the great Paul Larkin wrote Wim's Tim's, the greatest thing that happened to Celtic in 10 years, much of that book was documenting Phil O'Donnell's presence in the locker room that year, that stopped Rangers winning 10 league titles in a row. On that final day, I mean, that was the first Celtic game that I'd ever seen. And Wim's Tim's, you can find that on Lulu.com. I mean, fantastic book from Paul Larkin as always. But there are folks who get in touch and it was even one of the guys from 90 Minute Cynic who sent me a tweet saying, this whole More Than a Football Club is, a bag of Tosh. I think he said Tosh.0. Whatever. He doesn't agree that it's more than a football club, and that's fine. Listen, I'm not in the business of telling people who is or is not a Celtic supporter. But when someone wants to say that someone else isn't a supporter because of whatever reason, aside from being like a Nazi fascist racist, I gotta have an issue with it. My question is there room in your perspective, and I'm talking to everybody here, is there room in your perspective for people who feel differently than you? Claiming that you want Celtic to be a club open for all and considerate of everybody's perspective or sensitivities or tendencies does not include telling other people what they can't sing.
You can't say that this is that we need to be sensitive to everybody and then tell someone else that they need to stay silent. That just doesn't work that way. That's unbelievably self-absorbed. If we're going to have a club that's open to all, we need to have some grown-up conversations that don't involve calling other people names who don't agree with you as your first line of argument. Okay, but getting back to, the response about Celtic being more than a football club, I certainly don't fault anybody who feels that way. I strongly disagree. I think Celtic is far more than a football club for various reasons. And I could talk for another 3 hours detailing why. I'm going to resist the urge. But I certainly don't follow that. And I'll sum it up with this. I speak the way I speak. You can obviously tell I didn't grow up in Glasgow or the west of Scotland or Scotland in general, the UK or Ireland. And there was a decision to make, a choice to make, if you will. I had options of what club I was going to support or which way I was going, whether I was even going to support the sport. Forget picking a team. I didn't grow up a soccer fan. I didn't particularly care for the game. The only reason why I'm a fan of this game is because of Celtic. But it's because of what it represents. It's because of what the club stands for. It's because of what the club started as. And what the club has grown into. And all the points in between. And that's the appeal. If I wanted to just support or follow a football club for football's sake, I'd go support Man U. Or whoever the fuck. Pardon my French. It's not what it's about. For me and for millions of other people who aren't from Glasgow. So that's just an important piece there. But linking it back to Phil O'Donnell, Paul Larkin did such a magical job of detailing Phil O'Donnell's influence in that locker room, and especially the influence on players who weren't from Glasgow, who didn't understand the importance of the 10 in a row. Phil O'Donnell understood that. He understood what supporting Celtic meant to everybody who loved the club and what it meant to stop the 10 in a row. And he purveyed that to everybody. And he's not forgotten. And he won't be forgotten. And he's very much missed. And our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife and his family today. Phil O'Donnell taken far too soon. But wanted to just bring that up. So I'm going to definitely tear a hamstring segueing into this next bit, but let me just cue up a little entertainment for us in the interim, because I know it's definitely going to be a treat. This might be a cue for Tony Cassidy to turn down the volume. Or maybe not, I don't know. I mean, we need to get a bleep button in this thing. Or something. I don't think you can even control it.
You don't need a bleep button.
From South Jersey, he stands about 7'1". He is just a gentle giant, that is, unless you're a hun. He calls to show up every week. You lost him. You know that you've heard him speak. Yumpy's got a filthy mouth. Yumpy calls in every week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't hear anything else, though.
Yeah, he probably hung up.
So what should I do? Hang up? Or what?
I don't know. I don't have Spreaker open.
We're not joined by Yampy. Listen
Okay.
to you two. These two are cackling in the background. I had to mute my microphone because I had the echo going in the back, and these guys are like, did he hang up? Well, hello? Is he there? Hello? Roger? Over and out? We're joined by Yampy.
We lost our pilot.
Parachute? Ripcord? Bueller? Yampy, hail, pal. Thanks for calling in. I had to do some last minute adjustment there. We had some echo. The dulcet tones were just blasting out. Give us some wisdom.
You were doing your best to edit all my swearing.
We had the bleep button in all its glory.
That's why it's like every third word was coming through. The Peanuts teacher. Or no, it was the teacher. The wah 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 wah.
Yeah, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, whatever. You got it.
Fantastic. Yampy, thanks for calling in, pal. Talk some sense into us. What are your thoughts in terms of everything? The performance today, the reaction from Dundee, or whatever did or did not happen, and your thoughts on fans in general, just the overall conduct, rules, and guidelines. Please.
I thought it was just a couple people with an agenda trying to make Celtic supporters look bad. I thought it was a little ridiculous. I mean, the way everybody made it sound, you'd have thought there was like mass murders going on and everything. And from what I heard, it was only like a couple people were arrested. I mean, I saw the picture of the kid from Dundee. He looked like he was about 12.
Wearing a Rangers jersey.
Yeah. And it's like, you're serious, right? We're going to make this a big deal. The supporters are so bad, or this or that. It was just a couple people that just want to kind of like make Celtic supporters look bad. And I was really
there's
disappointed.
None of them hanging around, are there?
Yeah, no, not at all. But it was definitely disappointing in the way that Mr. Lawwell kind of like jumped on that bandwagon and kind of like furthered that along, that whole mindset that there's certain supporters that are actually bad. And you can't. What's the saying we have? You don't shit where you eat, and it's like, not for nothing, the supporters pay his salary. You keep pissing them people off, and then you start to wonder why you have empty seats for certain games and everything that are not Champions League related, and maybe it's part and parcel because people just don't want to deal with all the friggin' aggravation and everything, having cameras pointed in their face, people harassing them for the littlest things. I mean, it starts to become more trouble than it's worth.
You know what, and it gets back to the point. You're absolutely right. But Peter Lawwell, he dislikes the Green Brigade. I don't think that I'm jumping out into any sort of assertion there, or he has a certain disdain for the Green Brigade, but he has a larger disdain for being broke. So as usual with him, money rules out. But it is sort of a situation where he's got the tiger by the tail. Now what the hell are you going to do? I'll tell you what to do, Peter. Show some leadership, okay? If you have to hold your nose, invite them in, and have a grown-up conversation.
No, he doesn't want to do that. He seems more like the type who likes to dictate to people as opposed to kind of like share, like some form of sentient activity and talk about things that in a mature kind of adult fashion.
But let me ask you something, Yamp. You seem like a reasonable, well-thought-out person. How many times... Thinking back over history, how many times has it worked out well in the end, where both parties feel like they exit with a positive vibe, and there's like a sort of a peace amongst the situation when one side dictates to the other and calls them bad names?
It never works out. You're always going to leave one party with very kind of like bad feelings. You're going to have a level of animosity that's just not going to go away when you talk down to people or talk at people. Until Lawwell can change his mindset and feel like that people like the Green Brigade, the supporters and stuff that he has total disdain for are a valuable asset to the club and bring attention to the club, and they're part and parcel of why there is worldwide support for the club. Until he can accept that fact that the show isn't all about Mr. Lawwell, there's always going to be issues and there's going to be problems, and he needs to incorporate this wonderful supporters club that he has, and that most clubs would give their left ball to have.
That's the important point. You're absolutely right there.
And until he can man up and actually say, we got to do this. We got to try to like come to some kind of like common agreement and treat these people like adults instead of shoving cops in their fucking face all the time. You're going to have issues, especially at away matches when people feel a sense of freedom that they don't really have at the home ground.
Exactly.
And you're going to have stuff go off. I mean, people are going. Yeah, it was a bank holiday. It's this, it's that. It's it's a late start and all that, and that's fine. I get that, but there is a definite different atmosphere at visiting grounds as opposed to the home ground because people feel like they're not having someone sitting on them all the time.
That's
like
a good point.
At Celtic Park.
That's a good point. I mean, without the experience of actually being there, it does have the impression like when you go into Celtic Park, you see the Yellow Jackets all over the place. It's almost like a fortress. I mean, figuratively, obviously. And then you go to the away grounds, and you do sense a bit more of that, but it's almost like the entire away end is essentially a Green Brigade. There's almost more of a communal aspect to it, and therefore
Which is a good thing.
I agree. But it brings the energy level up, and you feel a sense of freedom about it. And I think that's a good point that you bring up.
Well, yeah, except for today when they brought everything but armored personnel carriers into the end. I saw some of the pictures from Easter Road. Like, holy shit! Like you were expecting like drones flying overhead and everything as a result of all the shit Sun's media fucking story. What else? We talk about stuff like you see like John Hartson jumping on, and
oh please, who cares?
Why
would anybody care what the hell he says? He kicked the ball. Now all of a sudden he's going to pontificate to me about the rights and wrongs of societal issues when he's dictating about a game that he wasn't even at.
Right, I get it, but it's.
I have zero time for him. I'm sorry.
How about it? I was disappointed in it. I would expect more from a guy who represented the club and meant a lot to a lot of supporters. So I think a couple supporters nailed it on the head too on Twitter, where they talked about I love the guy when he played for the club, but respect is something that can be given or taken away.
No question.
And when you sit there and kind of disparage people and stuff and call them sectarian and this and that, I mean,
and he's calling for people to get fired from their jobs. When he wasn't even, and people are like, oh, look at you, big man, having a go at John Hartson. Excuse me, I'm not the one calling for people to be sacked from their jobs. He is, without having any experience whatsoever except from a third party. So, I have zero time for him. He writes for a scummy paper as his career, and I mean, the shoe fits.
And it's, like I said, that's really disappointing because you would expect a guy who has shown that he has character and that he, he had the whole issue with cancer and everything, and it's like he can, be strong, like spiritually, and like this shouldn't be a big deal. It's like, look, man, this is about a club where supporters meant so much to you. Don't throw them under the bus. Why would you do that, man?
Because he's got a career.
Because it's not enough to just throw him under the bus, but to be wrong and throw him under the bus is an even bigger problem.
That's his job now.
Yeah, I mean, but that's, it's the whole Judas 30 pieces of silver kind of thing, man.
Exactly.
You can't sell your soul for a couple extra, a little bit extra dosh to put on the bookie slips and everything. I mean, that's sad. I mean, that's a shame.
Like I said, the shoe fits.
Yeah, it definitely does. As for the game today, how about that Thomas Ronya, man? I saw a couple of people say, oh, he wasn't that bad. I'm like, he was fucking brutal, dude. I mean, he had turnstile, absolutely turnstile. Lee Griffiths just like ran around him, like it was like he was trying to attend the end there and get to his seat and everything. I was like, wow, Ronya, we won't miss you after January. Trust me, dude.
Well, and here's my take on it. A lot of people pointed out, why was he playing? Maybe trying to, put him in the shop window. I think this had all the hallmarks of Lennon said to him, and he's been in and out for various reasons. Apparently it's fitness or a healthy scratch, as we would say over here, or whatever. Obviously there was some tension after it was released in September, or he actually released himself. He came out and said, I don't like the terms that were given to me and I want more money. And a paraphrased way. Well, we didn't see much of Ronya after that, and it was no surprise after F. Ambrose came in, and just delighted everyone with his performances. Obviously, Ronya's kicked to the back of the bus. So this had all the hallmarks of Lennon is experimenting with the side. I don't mean, let's try this, let's try that. He's experimenting with a specific formation that I think he's looking to employ against Juventus, and he's trying to fit pieces in certain places, or, try and see where the weak spots are, and see where the strong points are. And he said to Ronya, he said, listen, if you want more money, Go out and show me. We have another month coming up now where Ambrose is going to be gone, and we're going to need you to step up. And if you can step up, I'll pay you. And if that's the case, you can kiss Ronya goodbye. He's gone.
Yeah, but what's the point? I mean, again, at what cost? You just coughed up the bit for 3 points.
But exactly, that is the point. At what cost? We're still 6 points ahead with a game in hand. So Lennon doing this now, I think, was astute. We know we have plenty of space. If we would have won today, we'd be 9 points ahead with the game in hand. I mean, we have enough of a buffer now where we can do these types of things. Can't do it on a consistent basis, but we can do it here and there. By virtue of the fact that we have such a wide berth right now. And I'd much rather see him do it now as opposed to later on in the run-in. I'm
not impressed by Ronya. I don't think
would agree.
much of him at all.
At this point, I think we have a player who has a very high regard for himself, and I'm sure his agent is feeding him all sorts of things because the agent wants him to move because that's the only way the agent's going to get paid. Let's be honest. But I think that we have a player who thinks a lot of himself, hasn't shown enough recently, and is made of glass. He can't stay fit. And that's always been the knock on him. He hasn't really sort of
shaken that
fortified himself. I mean, I stood next to him in Philadelphia. I was like, dude, if it gets above 100, you could sweat to death. I mean, his ankles were like, his ankles were like one of your fingers. So I mean,
I have quite large fingers. So
I don't need to hear about all that personal stuff. I don't think that he has a future with Celtic. Let's just put it that way. I think that we have enough players coming through. We've got Jackson Irvin, we've got Marcus Frazier. These players are coming through. They're developing nicely. I think they give you as much of an option, from a performance standpoint and from a fitness standpoint as Ronya does at this point. I don't see a future with him at Celtic. I know that goes against some of my perspective in the past, but times change, things change, perspectives changed, and mine has on Thomas Ronya. Yampi, now that I have you on, let's change gears a little bit, and I want to get your perspective because you might be more exposed to this than maybe some of our listeners. Specifically about Fox Soccer, but Fox Soccer in January is going to be featuring a show called Football's Next Star. Have you seen this yet?
Yeah, I actually watched every single episode last night at about 1 a.m. on YouTube because, I have no life at that time of night, so it's fine. I don't really sleep much. So
Who does?
Screw it. I kind of was impatient to see it because it seems like it was something that's shown on I guess it's RTE in Ireland or whatever it is.
Right.
And it's the stupid way Fox does shit and everything. It's oh, okay, well we've shown this 6 months ago in Ireland, but now
we're going to show some soccer ball.
Yeah, now we're going to show it like it's new and it has a soccer ball, and we'll get our soccer fans involved and stuff.
Yeah, we got a wicked PK up on the upper body duel. And
instead of just showing it when, RTE was showing it so everybody can have that communal experience of seeing something new. Everybody over in the UK and Ireland has seen it already, and it's wow, we're just getting exposed to it.
All right. So what did you make of it? And what I want to know from you though, is you've seen it. This is perfect. Yeah. What do you think the response is going to be from Americans who are watching this? And let's say it's some American who just got into soccer ball and maybe is a Chelsea fan or a Man U fan because they those are shown the most on Fox Sports. But they have seen Celtic a couple, and they saw that they beat Barcelona. It's whoa, Celtic, they're Scottish league, but that's kind of cool, and they have the hoops and everything. What do you think the response is going to be from the neutral in America? Is this maybe an opportunity? Is this maybe going to pick up some people who, maybe not going to switch all full bore over to Celtic, but you might pick up maybe some people who make Celtic their second team, or just sort of build the brand a bit, or is it overly cheesy?
It's not cheesy at all. I actually thought it was kind of neat. I mean, it was I think in the States it'll be more of a curiosity factor because maybe they'll be expecting, a lot of people that watch it will expect something like the whole Liverpool thing, yours of being Liverpool and everything.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's about young guys 15, 16 trying to compete to get into the youth academy and everything at Celtic. Mm-hmm. And I mean, for me, I love shit like that, even if it wasn't Celtic related. But the fact that it is Celtic makes it really cool. And there was a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff that I thought was really neat. You get to see the guys who do the scouting and run the youth academy and everything. People you don't really normally hear about, because we hear about the Neil Lennon and we hear about like Peter Lawwell and stuff like that, but you don't really get to hear about the people that actually bring the talent into the club.
Yeah, nobody hears about McCart or John Kennedy or like a lot of that good work that's done behind the scenes that's bringing through the Tony Watt, the James Forrest, and so on.
I mean, it was cool in that it's like you have these kids and they're playing other youth clubs and stuff. It was like they played a game against Sunderland. They played a game against like Annan. Who else? They was like it was really. I thought it was well done, and it was like the players that did the best. They were like you would get like a man of the match type thing. They would get like a little reward or something. Like the one day, the one that was really funny was when they were in Edinburgh when they went to the two kids. It was like one person gets man of the match. The other one gets, and he gets to pick a teammate to go with him, and both of them kind of like get this day of like just R&R, just chilling out and everything. So the other thing was like they had to go experience Scottish culture and stuff because they're coming over. All the players are from like Ireland, so it's not like they're from Scotland. They're from Ireland coming over, and they went out shopping. They got them like kilts and everything, and they're eating haggis and stuff like that.
They watched Braveheart.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, but it was cool because it's like you get to see that, and you get to see Lennoxtown and everything, and
yeah,
it was. I thought it was neat. I think it will get some. Celtic will definitely get exposure over it. I mean, I actually had a couple people tweeting me talking about, your club's become a reality show now.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to increase exposure for the club. But I just hope that people's expectations aren't like, oh, this is like, so American Idol-ish or whatever. Like you suck, so we're kicking you off, and kind of like think it's like some corny rip-off of that, because it's not. It was pretty cool.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really neat. You want to save yourself time, just punch it in on YouTube and watch the whole thing. I mean, that's what I did, and I liked it. I mean, there wasn't any problems like pulling it up and everything. They're like 25-minute episodes on there. So,
good stuff.
But yeah, it's cool. I think the general soccer crowd in the States, if you want to call them that, will. I mean, there'll be people that would be interested by it. Yeah, it's just I get caught in the whole soccer, football. You're afraid to call it football because it's like people in the States are like, "It's not football, dude. It's American football."
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to my world.
Right.
The rule that I live by is if you're around only Americans, you say soccer. If you're around people from over there, you just say football, just for consistency's sake. But if you're gonna go into some American bar or pub and just start talking about and use one of those cheesy English accents and start talking saying football, then you're a prick.
Right. Yeah, it's like oh, God forbid, it's like you have cornered the market on the term football. Nobody else is allowed to apply it unless it applies to like the Super Bowl or shit like that.
Whatever. You know what? Good. Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, football is played on a gridiron, bitch.
You there?
I'm here.
Oh, I didn't hear you. You kind of like blinked out on me there.
I was just saying, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday afternoon, football is played on the gridiron, bitch.
Right, and it's like, get over yourself already, okay?
That might have been the bleep button from Tony Cassidy.
I think I've hit my limit on swear words. It was like 2.
Yampy, listen, happy holidays to you, man. I appreciate you calling in. As always, Happy New Year, and we'll let you run. We got one more caller, and then I got to run. But all the best, and we'll check in with you soon.
Definitely. Hope to talk to you before you end up going over to Scotland.
That's a definite, pal.
Definitely. You and the missus enjoy the new year, and take care.
You too. Thanks, pal.
All right, bro.
See ya.
Later.
It's Yampy calling in from South Jersey. Good stuff. Philly cheesesteak connoisseur extraordinaire. If you're curious about the Philly cheesesteaks, you can find him at Yampy. That's YAHMPY. And he's got his own fanfare, audio fanfare. As do you, Rev. What do you think of the show, Rev? Are you excited about this? Are you looking forward to it?
I actually have not heard about it until last night, so
Jesus, Rev.
I did not know what to expect.
Oh, so you just heard about it last night?
Yeah.
Is it on yet?
No, I don't think so.
What are you doing?
Right now,
Yeah.
just sitting on the computer,
Oh,
Skyping with you
All right. Sound funny. Where's Amy?
in the other room.
Oh, all right. All right.
He's got no hair.
We gotta get some fanfare for the Rev.
I'll take it.
He's got no hair.
What's wrong with me? Some people watch YouTube. I make Rev songs.
He's got no hair.
You should put this song on YouTube.
He's got no hair.
All right, shut up. That's enough. Good Lord. I need to have my head examined. So yeah, I think this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. It's like Yampi was saying. I mean, it's the type of thing that could go either way. If it gets overexposed and if it's cheesy and it sort of represents the club in a kind of goofy way, it could be bad. But yeah, I don't see a downside to it. It's that being Liverpool kind of sucked, but I don't like anything about the EPL, and I just think that these clubs are overhyped. But I'll be interested to see it. I wish I didn't know it was on YouTube now, because that pretty much is going to take up my next 6 hours, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Sounds like you are too. Okay, let's get one more caller in here, and then we'll call it a day. But this is a man who really needs no introduction. I haven't made any audio fan for him because he really doesn't need any. Hopefully he picks up. He just sent me a Skype message, and now he's not there. Unless he is. Tommy, you there?
Hello?
There he is. Tommy in Glasgow, now joining
doing,
us. I'm doing great, pal. How you doing?
Getting by, mate. I'm just turning you down here in my headset on the... Come on.
Good man.
That's it. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
That's better. Can you hear me okay, yeah?
Yeah, crystal clear. You doing all right? Say hi to the Rev.
Yeah, mate. How you doing, Rev? How you doing, Brad?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, getting by. I might just be about to pick up here, but I'm sitting waiting for a job just in the middle of Glasgow, but I don't think it's happening, so... But listen, it's just to wish all your good listeners and friends there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And it's been lovely being allowed on to your show. One of the only shows in radio where I'm actually allowed on and welcomed and allowed to say my bit. So I love you to bits just for that fact alone, brother, that you allowed me a platform like no other, So, but I'll not abuse it tonight. It was just to come on, and I mean, I watched the bits in the game today, and my thoughts. I'm just happy to be a Celtic fan. We're victorious every time we take to the pitch, every time we breathe, every time we bring up our kids and talk to them about Celtic and talk to new people. We're victorious, and this year has been so wonderful to see the demise of that other lot, that it just makes being a Celtic fan that extra bit special, knowing that how we've achieved and what we've achieved, and watching them fall apart. I'm obsessed with Celtic, and I'm obsessed with Rangers' demise, and I'm proud to say that. And I'm obsessed with radio, and I'm obsessed with good things, and Celtic is a good thing, and you guys show is a good thing, and God bless. And I hopefully will be speaking to you throughout the whole of next year, because the Celtic media, the fan media, is going from leaps and bounds, and you guys over there, what a tremendous job, and thank you very much for for allowing so many people over here and across the world to listen to Celtic when they want, without having an agenda. We have got an agenda, and it's Celtic, and it's only Celtic, and that's just the most beautiful thing out there. And keep going, lads. God bless you.
Amen, brother. It's been an honor having you on this year. We're a huge admirers of your work, and we always enjoy having you on. And all the best in 2013. Keep up your great work on Glasgow Radio Online, on Spreaker. We love tuning into that and your great work, and just keep it up. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy holidays, and
stay safe, bro.
Yep. Cheers.
I'll hopefully see you, and you're coming over for the Juventus game, yeah?
I'll be there. It's a definite. I'll meet up with you. We'll coordinate.
God willing, mate. Yeah, we've got the Mellow Birds on nice. Martel, Stealings already been played. So the feelings are coming across the airwaves. Parrot and the Mellow Birds just chilling out in a wee cafe, cappuccino latte style, giving it Yaldi. And obviously, the best place to go, you go to St Mary's Chapel, brother, won't you? You'll go there to the chapel, because that's the main pilgrimage you've got to do, brother. Get to that chapel.
No question
before
about
you
it.
go and say a prayer for everybody, you know.
Wouldn't miss it, pal.
God bless, brother. I'll see you then.
Yep.
I hope to speak to you before then as well, but stay safe until then, and God bless everyone else, yeah?
All the best, Tommy. Happy New Year. Hail.
Stay with.
Cheers. Bye. Tommy. Can you imagine, like, me meeting Tommy? I've never seen a picture of him, you know, but I just imagine this guy, you know, just, like, walk up and, you know, just sort of give you a big bear hug and then, you know, talk about the Chapel de Chapo and the Sheikh Matajri and these guys off his head. But
I got like a Billy Connolly picture in my head when he talks.
Yeah, absolutely love him. He is brilliant. Yeah, as I mentioned, you can find him Glasgow Radio Online on Spreaker. He's always up to no good, and God, it is fantastic. So we love a bit of Tommy. And Rev, let's check in with you here. Everybody's talking about what was your favorite moment of 2012, please. Okay, everybody's going to say the same thing. Rangers going bust. All right, yeah. That's everybody's favorite moment, no question. What was, let me put you on the spot here. I didn't prepare you with this. You need to have your quick thinking boots on, or hat, whichever you're thinking with. What was the best Celtic performance for you in 2012? You know, you might pick the Barcelona game in terms of the result, but there were so many other great games. I mean, we had the 3-0, the last ever Glasgow derby. You know, we had the 5-0 away to Kilmarnock, winning the league. I mean, there's so many to pick from. You know, obviously the away ties in Champions League qualifying. You know, there were some spectacular performances. Obviously, wouldn't pick the Real Madrid tie in Philly, but for you, what was the best performance, the best Team Celtic performance, and what was your best individual player moment?
Jeez, I haven't thought about that. I'm going to need a minute.
All right, wait, hold on. Take your time.
The best team performance.
I'll give you some thinking music.
He's got no hair.
Do your thinking.
He's got no hair.
It's in stereo.
He's a skinhead.
Think about it. You know, the 3-0.
A good guy.
And that was a great performance by Hooper there. So that's a good one. Sammy, you know, had some good performances away in the qualifying, right? So we could throw Sammy in there. Charlie Mulgrew in that 5-0. Kilmarnock, right?
All right, I'm ready.
You got it?
I can't go with the 5-0 game only for the fact that I was in the hospital that morning and I didn't see it.
Oof, yeah, okay.
So I will have to go with the 3-0 game against them as the best 2012 performance. As far as best individual performance, that's a little bit trickier. I mean...
Should I turn the music back on?
No. I would just say the growth of Victor Wanyama. Because... And he started out great.
Yeah.
You know, he started out great. And, I mean, we all weren't really expecting anything because you and I and mostly everybody, you know, were just like, okay, who the hell is this? When he came, you know, last season. And then just over last year, you know, last season going into, you know, 2012, and then finishing off the season, and then starting the season off again and continuing his form and still growing. And I would say just him, you know, as a player, his performance, you know, he's not, I mean, this is kind of treading into just player of the year territory.
Right.
But I think that just him playing is probably the best in the team.
No, I love it. I love both answers. I would probably, You know what? I would go with the 3-0 as well. I loved that game. Obviously the result was great, but we played, interesting enough, we played 3 at the back in that game, and it was just explosive. I mean, who can ever forget Chris Commons absolutely deep-pantsing Kyle Bartley. What a just vile prick that guy is, and he totally deserved it. And just, cool as you like, little chip right over Alan McShagger. And what a game, what a day that was. Yeah, I would definitely go with the 3-0. Not to say that the Barcelona was better than the Barcelona game in terms of the result or anything else. I mean, we'd already put the Huns to the sword at that point, and then Duff and Phelps literally put them to the sword. But no, I in terms of the overall performance and the domination and the atmosphere. I mean, obviously the Green Brigade with the banner was tremendous, and I mean, who could beat the Green Brigade with their display for the Barcelona game? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they, no matter what your opinion is of the Green Brigade, they deserve our utmost respect for what they did in that game. Not just from the atmosphere and the vibe and the volume, but that display beforehand was unlike anything I've ever seen. And the performance was exceptional, but in a bit of a different way. We had to be at our best, but I think the game against the Huns, the last one ever, I think was that pips it just slightly. And the Kilmarnock game was fantastic. Tony Cassidy always keeps me in line. Tony Cassidy's like my Wikipedia in the background. Tony informs me that it was 6-0 way to Kilmarnock. So thank you, Tony. And earlier on, I screwed something up. I said that Victor Wanyama was going to the African Cup of Nations with Kenya. I was under the impression that Kenya did qualify, but perhaps they didn't. They're kind of rubbish, to be honest with you. So it's not surprising overall, but I thought that they did squeak through anyway. I'll have to double check my math. But thank you, Tony. I would definitely have to say 3-0 against the Huns. And that's a great answer with Wanyama. How much he's developed. And like you said, he was great from the front end, but the amount of development that he's had, and I think a lot of it has to do with the arena that he got to display them in. I mean, we knew we had a special player, and as last season went on, it was like, whoa, this is something else. But then he started to sort of develop his craft and display the wares, if you will, in the Champions League, and was no worse for wear going up against the best in the world. And it's going to cost some English team a lot of money to get his services, no question about it. Yes, thank you, Tom. He's not going to leave for anything less than at this point. I would have to say it's certainly going to have to be higher than 10 million. That's where negotiations start, and I think there's going to be multiple bidders coming in, which is only going to escalate that up and up and up. So it's going to be interesting. We will. Well, I guess we won't miss him if he's not going. Like I said, I'll have to double check. But Tony Cassidy is usually Johnny on the spot with that kind of stuff, so we'll have to take him at his word. So
I would have to say my favorite overall Celtic experience was the weekend in Philly. I mean, that's kind of going without saying. Obviously not the game itself, but really I could give two shits about the game.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I felt exactly the same way.
At least the score. I mean, getting to watch them live. That's what I cared about, and the fan interaction and everything, the camaraderie,
and getting to meet so many people, and it's what a weekend. I mean, I know that you were down for the count for much of it, and that happens with our this conundrum that we're graced with called Crohn's. But no, it was tremendous. I mean, Charlie and the boys Friday night, Air Deco makes a bumpy landing on my foot, nearly breaks it, and obviously the events of Saturday, nothing like it. The people that you meet. I mean, you associate with so many people over Twitter, message boards, and through the show now, and you have a certain sense for what they're going to be like. But I mean, everybody that I met it just exceeded everything that I had. My already high expectations for them, and it's. I agree. That was definitely the moment of the year, personally, and I hope that Well, I hope it's not the last time, and I'll tell everybody what I told Peter Lowell. I appreciate Celtic coming over, and I hope it's not the last time.
Nah.
What I told Peter was that there are loads and loads of Celtic supporters here, not just expats, but people who sound like me and Rev, and we are desperate to give the club our money. We just need it to become easier, and it is, to certain extents it is, but there's still a lot of work to do, and we won't stop until it's done. So,
yeah, I don't think they'll be coming over this summer, but I would expect probably next summer.
Should be
2014
should be over every summer.
Yeah, believe me, I wish. Play a game in Boston, a game in New York, a game in Philly. I'd go to all of them.
What city would you like? I mean, obviously you have the standard rotation. They went to New York once, Philly. It's been Philly the past 2 times now, and Boston a couple of years ago. Where would you like to see it? Maybe that it hasn't been. I mean, they came to D.C., I guess, in 2006, and that was just an absolute disaster. Plus, the stadium down here is a piece of shit. It's awful.
And they did, I think the time before that, they played the MLS All-Stars in Colorado.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. At Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
I mean, selfishly, New York. You want to play them?
You want them to play at Red Bull?
That would be nice.
Would you lead the Green Brigade? So to speak. Oh, okay. No.
That brings up the next conundrum.
Yes. Let me ask. Since you are the capo, what happens? Celtic comes to the U.S. and has to play against the Red Bulls. What do you do, Rev? What do you do?
Know. I've thought about that many times.
Do you take that shirt off and just expose that skinny, pale body of yours and swing the shirt over your head and stand in front of? Do you stand in front of the GSS, or do you stand in front of the Green Brigade?
I would have to do some soul searching.
You would.
I've thought about that, and I've weighed the pros and cons, and I'm like, well, I don't get to see Celtic that often, and since it's a game that doesn't matter, I can easily go with Celtic. But I'm like, it's home. But I'm like, I don't even think about it.
Forget your home. You're too good for your home. Happy Gilmore.
But I would see them play anybody else there.
No cop out. See, I'll throw my 2 cents in with this, because I had that situation when they played the Philadelphia Union. Now, granted, Philadelphia Union were in existence for 8 weeks. Like, I don't give a shit. So I do, but I don't. I had the same feelings as you. This is my home. It's my home team. I was member of the Sons of Ben, the Friends of Ben.
Oh, were you actually a member?
For 1 year. Yeah, for 1 year. And then, I decided Chutes and Ladders or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever is not for me. But anyway, I kid the Sons of Ben.
I know.
But, I had that same rationale. The only reason why I like this sport is because of Celtic. If it wasn't for Celtic, I wouldn't even be interested in the Philadelphia Union.
Right.
So therefore, that trumps that. Plus, Celtic don't come here all that often. I can always go to a Union game, but I want to stand with my fellow Celtic supporters when they come. And during that game, it was very educational. I was like, I don't even know what to think of this. 5 minutes into it, I fucking hated the Philadelphia Union.
Right.
Like, I hate, like, every lunge or every just dirty tackle was like, you mother effing prick, and I never looked at him the same way again. It will be telling, because that will happen. If Celtic plays your team, it's either going to be a Celtic player going after Henry or somebody else, and you're like, you dirty effing, Lustig, you Nazi, whatever. Or it's going to be the other way. And it will happen, and it will be one-sided, I assure you. So.
Right. No, I mean, I going back to the main topic, I don't really care where they play. East Coast, I can't see them. They played Seattle.
Nice heat deflection.
What?
Nice heat deflection.
They played Seattle 2 years ago when they came over, and I think they played Man U in Toronto, I think. So whatever. I see them sticking to, and I think we've had this conversation once before.
So
you stick to the areas that have,
rotation.
the diaspora.
Yeah. Nah, that's fair. I wouldn't mind them going to Chicago, to be honest, because there's a sizable Irish population there as well. It's easy to get into and out of, and it's a fun city. I love Chicago.
Yeah, and it's a selfish thing because if they do play, this is the area with the diaspora. I can go up to what?
Listen, the people in chat are pissed. You got to answer this question. You have to answer it. Celtic or Red Bull? Who do you sit with right now? Right now, they're coming next week. Gun to your head. Where are you sitting? You got to make the decision now, Rev. What do you do? Do it.
I would go with Celtic.
Yeah.
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 No hair, Rev.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
I would tell everybody I'm sick. I can't
You're
make
so
this game
weak.
and then just throw on a hat, grow my hair out.
You're so weak. Be a man. I mean, please. You have Yampi. Yampi has your back. If anybody wants to start.
No, it wouldn't be a problem. Like I know people, when they played Sporting, they played Spurs, they played Juve actually, and I know people that are fans, of both teams, and there was no problem. So
nice.
But none of those teams are
the greatest football club ever. Exactly. Brian's getting in touch in chat. The Brazilian player that has just signed for Red Bulls should be good. He's obviously talking about Juninho.
Wamabu.
You excited? Are you going to get a Juninho jersey?
No. Nah.
You gonna...
I don't know what's going on with all that. There's,
See, look at this. You don't even know who plays for the Red Bulls. You're sitting with us.
No. I mean...
one of us.
One
of us.
They kicked out the Nordic contingent, and now it's going to be a Scottish contingent, and I don't think it's going to play in my favor, if you know what I mean.
Wait, what?
They fired the general manager. They fired the manager.
Baca.
They got everybody out. Yeah, Baca's gone.
Are they bringing in a Hun?
Who's the
Hun?
McAllister.
Who's the Hun? Who's the Hun? Who's the Hun in black?
He's the sporting director.
McAllister?
No.
What are you talking about?
Gary McAllister.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Jerome de Bonton is some other thing, and so that's what I'm saying. Like now they're like, it's all old boy school type stuff. It's Gerard Houllier, de Bonton, all these guys who know each other. They're expecting Gary McAllister to be named the coach, and so he's going to bring his own assistant coaches in, his own support staff, and I don't think it's going to play in my favor. As in, there's not going to be any Celtic friendly people. They're all going to be Scots, but they're not going to be any Celtic ex-players or anything like that, coaches, whatever.
Didn't Gary McAllister play for Leeds?
Probably. I don't know. Before my time.
Yeah. He's probably a Hun, though. That's a Hunny name. It's a Hunnish name.
He coached the national team like 40 years ago.
What?
No, like in the 80s, he coached the Scottish national team.
You're talking about a different dude.
No.
You know who coached the Scottish national team in the 80s? Jock Steen. Not Gary McAllister.
What's after that?
No.
Well, let's turn it to the chat room and see.
I'm
Give
sure
it 30
somebody
seconds for the delay.
Well, yeah. Everybody's, okay, the Parrot says stinking Hun. Brian says he's a Hun. Arthur Rusk says, oh no. Who was the manager after Big Jock? Now we're getting somebody in Skype. This thing's going way off the rails, this show. I don't care. It's good to catch up. All right, the Parrot has something to chime in about. Parrot, call us. Oh,
I'll try and get him on. He's got info about McAllister. This is good. We can get the Rev
scoop.
Yeah, we can get the Rev under wraps. Parrot, you there?
Yeah, how you doing, guys? Okay.
Yeah. What's the script with this McAllister guy? Is he a card carrying Hun?
Well, a true story. You'll like this. It's quite Celtic orientated. Young lad back in the day when Gordon Strachan was Coventry manager, and McAllister was his number 2, sort of senior player at the squad. There was a young lad from Castlemilk, went to the same school as me, and he went down for a week's trial with Coventry. Cut a long story short, the young lad was put up in a decent hotel. The first day of training, Gordon Strachan introduced him to everybody, and McAllister ran over to the lads and went, "Welcome to Coventry Football Club. If you need anything, give me a shout, son." So the Monday morning, the young lad's wearing a Barcelona strip. Nothing said, he trains all day with the first team, etc. The Tuesday, the boy runs out in a Scotland strip. No problem whatsoever. The Wednesday, the lad runs out in a... I'm trying to think which team it was. It was like an Ajax strip or something, some European team.
Yeah.
The Thursday morning, the lad turned up with a Celtic strip on. Thinks nothing of it. The lad didn't even get onto the pitch, and Gary McAllister ran 3 football parks to him. "What the fuck are you doing wearing that shit here? We don't like that here." And the rest of the senior players basically told him to do one, including Gordon Strachan, who was nothing to do with Glasgow Celtic at this time.
Right.
And the senior player says, "Don't listen to that ball bag, son. He's a stinking blue nose." So if he's anything to do with the franchise that the Rev loves, if I see him in the cash and carry ultras again, he's at it.
There you go, Rev.
Well, if I just looked it up, and we got it's Andy Roxburgh. He's the sporting director. He's the one. He managed Scotland from '86 to '93.
Oh, yeah.
So McAllister, he's not announced, but he's like he's the front runner. He's who everyone thinks it'll eventually
honestly, if he'd been Andy Roxburgh was the youth coach who helped develop Home McStay. There's really good stuff on YouTube about him. And he wasn't a bad youth coach, etc. He fitted into the Scotland job because he had brown shoes and was good at the lodge.
Is he a Hun?
They all are, Graham. You don't get any left footers, mate. Managing Scotland. But
Rev supports the Red Huns.
If McAllister has anything to do with your organisation, mate, you'll be a laughing stock. Chaz Duffy will just bust out laughing at you. Frankie Fraser will be saying, "I'll be lighting candles for you in St Patrick's Cathedral." If that guy has anything to do with your organisation, he's lovingly dubbed Gary my fucking ball, because that's all he does. He wants the ball all the time. Cash and carry footballer. Disgusting.
Thanks, Parrot.
Right, sorry to interrupt these guys, but I had to just totally embarrass the Rev over that comment there.
Nobody appreciates it more than me.
It's good to know, really.
Spread the word. I want them out before he even gets in. I would rather walk about Glasgow with a Thomas Road and a ski mask than have that guy to do with the Red Bulls.
Cheers, Parrot.
Okay, hail.
Hail, hail.
Well, if there's ever like a meet and greet, I know what I'm going to wear.
Feel like, what you doing with that on? Boy, we don't like that around here. You'll figure out who you're going to be sitting with in that Celtic Red Bulls game very quickly. I'm sorry, man. I didn't think it was going to go that way.
That's fine.
Well, listen, you started it. You volunteered the information that your team's going to be taken over by a bunch of Huns.
Well, like I said, I didn't think it was going to go my way.
Well, hey, you know who's never going to let you down, right?
Yeah, that's true.
CELTIC. All right, that's enough. That's enough for the fanfare and the singing and all that kind of stuff. See, you don't even know who's playing for him.
I know who's playing. I just don't know who's coaching them. There's a big difference.
Yeah, what's that Janino guy's last name?
Peppercurabo.
Love it. Great stuff. How was your holiday?
That's all right. How was yours?
Very good, very good. Yeah, Santa was very good to me. I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm not going to ask questions. Yeah, I made myself a table out of wood.
I didn't think you had that in you.
I didn't either. My name is Graham Wilson. I work with wood. It's beautiful. I can't believe I did it, but a few finishing touches to get over with. But the drawer fit in there like a glove, and just bring it on down to the base. Even my wife is happy with it. You know, it's.
Did you need a table? You just felt like, hey, I'm going to make a table.
No, I did. There's a void between, we have like the T, or, like the right angle with the couches, and then that gap, in between the two couches. And every table we'd look at was too small. So I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to make it. Like, at least it gives me an excuse to go out in the garage and saw something. I listen to classic rock and drink PBR. Maybe we wouldn't go that far, but, as one step after another would go through, it's like, well, that didn't turn out too bad. That wasn't so hard. That didn't and then it's like, holy shit, that looks pretty good.
Not bad.
I work with wood. So next up, I got to build a display case for all the stuff that people have sent me. Programs and stuff. I got a couple programs for you, by the way, next time I see you. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, you got to come down to DC, and this time you should probably make time to meet up with me. Instead of just, going around your sightseeing thing with your wife.
Hey, that was only the second time I've been to DC, so it was still proper, sightseeing time. The first time I don't really count because we just went to a crappy DC game and lost and went home in the rain and sad.
That doesn't even count.
No.
All right. Well, next time you come down for a DC game, I'll come up and I'm not going to sit with you, but I'll, because they put you up in the upper deck where the trees are and stuff, but.
Literally.
Yeah, there's trees growing out of the concrete.
Yep. And there's a raccoon in the locker room.
Oh, that's just wrong. All right, Rev. I think that's enough.
Yep. We don't want to scare everyone away with our soccer talk.
Yeah, soccer ball, man. There's, some high five. Upper 90.
Oh, did you get that tweet I sent you yesterday?
Which one?
The other rumor, it just hit me now. It's just a rumor, but
it's not the rumor.
Supposedly, these guys they flew out to Cali and spoke to Winalda for a coach.
What guys?
These are the Huns in charge.
Oh, so Winalda might be coming to you guys.
Yeah.
As a coach.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing in the world. You know what? I think I don't want to
take him over. Well,
yeah, in a heartbeat. I think the guy knows a lot about the game. I like the way he plays. He likes an attacking style. He wants people to take chances. He wants people to try and ping a pass. That's really hard to do. He doesn't want to have this like well organized sort of lineup that you get in trouble for losing the ball or misplaying a pass. And I like that. And plus, anything to get him off of my television set is a great thing.
Exactly, and now I have to deal with him every week.
Well,
no thanks.
That's your problem.
You know the show that they used to do, the Fox Football Phone-In?
Yes.
You know how they used to do live shows and then they stopped?
Yeah, didn't he get into it with, who was it, Stephen Cohen, I guess?
No, it was the fans.
Oh.
The fans they invited to the background.
Oh, yeah.
Me.
Yeah, because nobody likes him because he's a dick. But when you hear him speak especially about the development of the game, he makes a lot of sense. It's a shame that he's such a dick.
Yeah, he got into it during one of the commercial breaks. So, for everyone who doesn't know, his former teammate, John Harkes,
who's another dick.
Yeah, he slept with his wife. So
great guy and a Hun.
Yeah, super Hun. So one of the songs that we have for him, it's white. It smells like Waldo's wife.
Oh, whoa.
Harkes' dick.
Uncalled for.
Rev.
All right, it's enough. We got to go. Rev,
thank you so much. Went off the rails.
Yes, thank you so much for joining me, Rev. It was great to catch up with you. Happy New Year, and enjoy your festivities, and all the best to Amy. And thank you to everybody who's called in today. 3 hours, Jesus, that flew by, and it's dark. But it's all in good fun. We got 0 points today, but a good time was had. I think we got some perspective on it. In the wider picture, this is really not a big deal. Believe me, we are getting into the quarterfinals. We are going to beat Juventus, and I promise you, no one is going to remember this game. Neil Lennon will sort it out. Thomas Ronya will be gone. I promise you. And that's it. So, as always, taking us out, Shane McGowan and the Pogues. Rev?
See you later.
Hail, hail, keep the faith. We'll talk to you soon.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know that it was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity, but some of them will never.
All right, wait, we're back. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this. I just had the funniest exchange with Rev, and we have to do this again. So for all of you who are still with us, this is fun. I got to continue this with the the hypothetical situations with Rev's Red Bulls. Okay, if I could guarantee that the Red Bulls would win the MLS Cup next season, but you have to have Walter Smith as your manager, Chris Boyd and Lee McCulloch are the strikers. Bugera's the center half. McGregor's the keeper. And Vladimir Weiss is the winger. Like, all the dirtiest Huns you could possibly imagine. You're going to win the MLS Cup next season, but you have to have, like, the dirtiest, skankiest Huns ever. Would you do it?
Nope. I'd rather wait the 16, 17 years all over again than have to win it with them.
I love it. This is fun. I have to come up with more hypothetical situations. Okay, what if you won the MLS Cup next season, but you... I don't know. That was the worst thing I could think of.
It wouldn't...
What if you had... Okay, here. The Revs... This is coming from the chat room. The Red Bulls are going to win the MLS Cup next year, and you'll have Gordon Strachan as the manager, but Nacho Novo has to score the winning goal.
I think I could deal with that.
Oh!
I think I could.
Are you serious?
I think so.
That would be the never-ending highlight forever of your one MLS Cup would be a picture of Novo running around, are you serious? I couldn't get that.
I could deal with that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nacho Novo?
I wouldn't even think about that. I would just focus on
it's like
Gordon Strachan finally being the guy.
It's like Shaggin' and Ugly. You just close your eyes and pretend it's
You know what happened? Yeah, it's like a former past relationship. You know what happened. You hate yourself for it, but no, whatever. You got laid.
Oh God! Oh, I can't deal with it. Yeah. Okay. What if Red Bulls win the MLS Cup and it comes down to penalties to decide it? It's 0-0 after extra time and everything else. It goes down to penalties. Barry Ferguson scores the winning goal and then lifts his shirt up to reveal a "Fuck the Pope" tattoo. Now, again, let's remember, Barry Ferguson, don't picture him wearing the Ranger strip. Picture him wearing the Red Bull strip, and then he lifts that up, and then he has, the fuck the Pope thing. Think about it. Do the right thing, Rev.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think I know.
Scores a penalty, right? Run down to the corner. All the teammates are surrounding him. Terry Handball comes up, and he's jumping on him and everything, and he lifts his shirt up like, yeah, fuck the Pope. So now, not only do you have that image of him scoring and him being the one, but then he tarnishes your colors.
I would have to, I don't know, can we do like a pitch invasion?
No,
can we factor anything this in?
No cop-outs. Yes or no? Don't even lie like you do a lot. Yes or no?
What do you mean? I have to...
Would you take it?
Would I deal with that?
Yeah.
No.
Yes! All right. Very good. Very good. The Parrot just agreed to he's going to send over McAllister jersey, Red Bull jersey for you. Very nice. All right, that's all from us. I had to get that on there. That was absolutely superb. Hang on, keep the faith.
In Manhattan's desert twilight, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And then Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favourite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to my empty room, I suppose I must have cried. Thousands are sailing again across the ocean with a hand of opportunity, just tickets in a lottery. Postcards were mailing of skyline skies and oceans, from rooms that daylight never sees, and lights don't glow on Christmas trees. And we danced to the music and we danced. Thousands are sailing across the